Chapter 100. However, no matter what technique you use, no matter if you are a human or a ghost, you will still have to die under my sword. Xiao Yi shouted out lightly as his fingers quickly formed seals. Broken Emperor sword that was in the sky shot out a dazzling light, and that dazzling light brought along a terrifying power as it struck towards Death Mage who was on the ground. Before the dazzling light even touched the ground, the powerful airwave that was emitted from the dazzling light already caused all of the trees to collapse, instantly razing the ground to the ground. From this, it could be seen just how powerful this move was. And under this terrifying power, there was also a huge sound wave attack. However, Death Mage seems to have no eardrums. Go and die, trash, no matter who it is, don't even think about acting cool in front of me, Xiao Yi. The people who acted cool in front of me have all been sent to hell, and you are no exception. Death Mage really didn't know how to speak. If it was possible, I would definitely have a verbal battle with Xiao Yi. You are still acting cool like this, I will beat you up. Looking at the terrifying dazzling light that was coming towards him, Death Mage controlled the cave of darkness and used it to block in front of him. Then he secretly took out his phone and looked at the result of the match. The first half has ended. Germany and South Korea have yet to score a goal. I wonder who will score a goal first in the second half. I am truly looking forward to it. The sound that came out from the phone wasn't loud, but Xiao Yi heard it. He still has the mood to watch the World Cup. He is ignoring me, ignoring my aura, ignoring my technique, and even more so, ignoring my ability to act cool. If that's the case, there are only two results today: either you die or I die. Death Mage quickly kept his phone, then faced Xiao Yi's big move with a serious expression. After all, I have to respect others, I can't trample on others' dignity, and I can't sneakily watch the World Cup while others are using big moves. Go and die. Xiao Yi shouted out. Seems like he was really angered by Death Mage's actions. However, the dazzling light shot into the cave and then, everything returned to normal. A cold wind blew onto Xiao Yi's nightgown, and also blew onto Death Mage's black robe. Right now, Xiao Yi's stupefaction should be accompanied by a sad eru, only then would it be able to bring out the stupefaction in Xiao Yi's heart. This is impossible. Just who are you? Xiao Yi shouted out gravely. GGG, Imperial Translation, your dad. After Xiao Yi heard this, his face alternated between white and red. He was still teasing him. His eyes narrowed and his hands quickly formed seals. Congratulations, you've successfully angered this emperor. Heaven Punishment Sword Technique, Buddha's Fury 9 Lotus. The broken emperor sword, which was floating in the air, shone brightly, and the body of the sword trembled violently. Bang! One divided into two and then more and more. In a split second, the 9 broken emperor swords floated above the Death Mage, locking onto the Death Mage from all directions. Furthermore, the 9 broken emperor swords were condensing a power that was even more frightening than before. When this power was formed, the entire space around the Death Mage was violently distorted. Just like Xiao Yi's handsome face, it was incomparably malevolent. Xiao Yi hadn't used this move in a long time. He felt that no one in this world could block it. When he was an immortal emperor, he used it and the opponent disappeared without a trace. One could see how powerful this move was. However, his opponent this time was Death Mage, Wei Chang's valiant general. It stretched out its 10 bony fingers, and black fog appeared on its fingertips, just like before. Imperial Translation, 9 dark acupoints. 9 mirror-like bottomless abysses appeared around Death Mage. Xiao Yi, who was not far away from Death Mage, was stupefied. Just a moment ago, the mirror that Death Mage summoned out swallowed my attack, and this time I have to continuously shoot out 9 times. And to think that Death Mage summoned out 9 mirror-like things as well. Just what the hell is this? Why are they able to swallow my attack? However, this time it is different. The might of every single one of the mirror-like things is much stronger than before. No matter how deep your black hole is, I have to pierce through it. As expected. 9 mirror-like light beams shot down from the sky, and the entire sky became as bright as day. The scene was rather spectacular. Even the few people who were floating in the sky a few miles away from Death Mage sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw this scene. As expected of the Xiao family's family master. But, after the 9 mirror-like light beams shot down, the night was still night, the crickets were still chirping, and the people who were stupefied were still stupefied. Xiao Yi rubbed his eyes. After the 9 mirror-like light beams shot down from the sky, not even a fart was let out. How is this possible? Even the weakened version of Buddha's Fury 9 Lotus wouldn't have such an effect. Death Mage let out a strange laughter once again. Don't misunderstand, this is not a mockery. Well, that was a mockery. Death Mage suddenly opened up both of his arms, and a strange black mist suddenly blossomed out from his body. The black mist corroded the ground like a virus, causing Xiao Yi's face to turn pale with fright. The black mist was like a tentacle that was trying to attack him. Xiao Yi did not have the time to think and immediately dodged. Tentacles of Darkness. This was one of the Death Mage's ultimate spells. It had a very strong corrosive power and penetrative power. As long as one was entangled by it, they would suffer a fate worse than death. Moreover, this was a tentacle and it was big, thick and round. Xiao Yi had never seen such a technique before. He had clearly cut it off, but the tentacles immediately grew back. No matter how he dodged, there were always many tentacles blocking his way. As an immortal emperor, Xiao Yi was like a monkey running around. His sweat quickly soaked his robe. In a split second, Death Mage grabbed hold of Xiao Yi's weak point and controlled his tentacles to form a big fist and punch towards Xiao Yi. Bang! Xiao Yi's body flew out like a cannonball, breaking all the trees along the way. Boom! Xiao Yi fiercely crashed onto the side of a mountain, causing the entire mountain to sway, and all the birds and beasts on the ground to jump in fright. Death Mage picked up the scythe of death that was stabbed into the ground and slowly walked towards the place where Xiao Yi had fallen. Today's mission was not to kill him, but to kill his woman in front of him. I reckon that this kind of feeling will definitely be extremely pleasurable. How did Master think of such a move? More and more people gathered over. They did not enter the battlefield and chose to watch from a few miles away. Some of them were enemies, but for this kind of incomparable battle, they temporarily put aside their grudges. However, from the looks of it, Xiao Yi's opponents were not weak at all. Among these people, there was a man and a woman who were wearing light muslin, and with just a look, one could tell that they were cultivators. Senior Martial Brother, Xiao family might be in trouble, we should go back and report this to the sect head. Junior Martial Sister, the sect head had already come to an agreement with Bai family, there is no need to worry. Bai family. Senior Martial Brother, Bai Zixin is not a good person cooperating with them, Junior Martial Sister, although Bai Zixin is vicious, we still need Bai family's resources. After this battle we still have to make a trip to the south. South? Why are we going there? Of course, it is to bring treasures. Curiosity appeared in the Junior Martial Sister's eyes. What kind of treasures would require them to take the risk to sneak into the south? Everyone was incomparably shocked. Originally, they thought that Xiao Yi would be able to win easily, but from the looks of it now, Xiao Yi's strength had increased by another level. Xiao Yi was completely suppressed by Xiao Yi, and they had never seen Xiao Yi being beaten to this state before. Seems like Zijin City is really going to change. However, as an immortal emperor, how could he not have a trump card? That would be looking down on immortal emperors too much. Right when Death Mage was slowly walking towards Xiao Yi, his body suddenly stopped and he dodged to the side. However, he was still too slow, his left arm was neatly cut off and fell onto the ground. Right now, Xiao Yi was wearing a golden gown and silver armor, and his hand was holding onto a golden longsword. Although there was a trace of blood on the corner of his mouth and his complexion was not very good, in the end Xiao Yi was still forced to take out his trump card. When the experts who were watching from afar saw that golden longsword, they couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. Chapter 101. When the spectators in the distance saw the xuanhuan sword, they all gasped. A few years ago there were rumors that the xuanhuan sword had appeared. Who would have thought that it would fall into Xiao Yi's hands? If it wasn't for the fact that he was so strong today, no one would have thought of this. This Xiao Yi really hid his strength deeply, and that armor he was wearing was definitely not ordinary. This trump card was simply a king's trump card. Looking at his opponent, he had lost an arm due to his carelessness. Other than the black robe and the sickle in his right hand, he had nothing else on him. The difference in equipment was too big. Not only would Xiao Yi not lose tonight, but he would also become famous. His reputation would be even higher than before, and the Xiao family's status would also rise because of this battle. Not to mention the other chain reactions. In actuality, the majority of the spectators hoped that Xiao Yi would lose. The current situation required a breakthrough, and tonight was a rare opportunity, just that right now, at this moment Xiao Yi was holding the xuanhuan sword. The sword was releasing a faint light, and with his golden robe and silver armor, he was like a god descending to the mortal world. Just standing there would cause people to feel fear. But Xiao Yi was shocked. That sneak attack just now could have killed the opponent, but the opponent had discovered it. It was just a broken arm, and from the looks of it, it didn't seem to be of much use. However, he had already taken out the xuanhuan sword and the mystic tortoise strange armor. One was shockingly powerful, while the other had explosive defense. He didn't believe that he couldn't kill this skeleton. I didn't think that I, Xiao Yi, couldn't be Loki anymore. After tonight, the Xiao family will definitely rise to glory once more. Although the plan has been brought forward, it is not a big deal. Let the world witness the true strength of this emperor. The skeleton in front of him was only a stepping stone for him to reach the pinnacle, nothing more. Death Mage turned his head around and took a look at the severed arm on the ground. He felt very surprised, but at the same time he was also very excited. This human in front of him had finally aroused his desire to fight. He picked up his severed arm and placed it to the side. Then he took off his black robe and carefully placed his precious phone on it. However, he still couldn't help but open it to take a look. It was still a score of 0. God damn it. Xiao Yi silently looked at Death Mage's actions. However, when he saw Death Mage turning on his phone again and hearing the commentator's voice, Xiao Yi felt like his lungs were going to explode from anger. This was a very serious battle. Could they keep their hearts on it? But looking at the skeleton, there was no heart at all. How could such a creature appear in this world? It was unimaginable. The spectators also felt a chill down their spines. They had seen skeletons before, but they were just small evil spirits that could be poked to death with a finger. However, the skeleton in front of them had refreshed their worldview. Could it be that it was a Bone King? A divine artifact like the xuanhuan sword could only cut off one of its arms. Unbelievable. With the death scythe in his hand, Death Mage walked towards Xiao Yi and stopped 10 meters away from him. GGG, Royal Translation. Since you're good at close combat, I'll play with you. The Death Mage was definitely a high-ranked magician, and his specialty would definitely be magic attacks. However, the Death Mage was a bit of a slouch. Actually, every magician had the heart of a warrior in their heart. Royal Translation, High-Level Power Enhancement. Royal Translation, High-Level Speed Boost. Royal Translation, High-Level Long-Lasting Support. Royal Translation, Top-Notch Defense Enhancement. Xiao Yi stared blankly at the Death Mage, who was crying out weirdly. However, every time the Death Mage cried out, a different light would appear on its body. After the light flashed for more than 10 times, Xiao Yi finally came back to his senses. This skeleton was very weird, but Xiao Yi also discovered that the Death Mage needed to chant when it was releasing magic. As long as the distance between the Death Mage and the Death Mage got closer, Xiao Yi would be able to gain the upper hand. As for the Death Mage's scythe, I reckon that the Death Mage's scythe is just a decoration. Right now, Xiao Yi's speed was a few times faster than before, and he immediately disappeared from where he was standing. A trace of red light flashed past Death Mage's hollow eyes as he raised the death scythe in his hand high up. Boom. A majestic black light soared into the sky and broke through the dark clouds above. The moonlight once again shone onto the ground, and under the moonlight, the death scythe blossomed with a silver light. This wasn't just a simple light, the entire death scythe changed from black to silver. The eyes of the spectators who were a few miles away almost popped out. What is going on? How can a skeleton be so awesome, to be able to pierce through the sky with just a slight movement? However, in the next second, everyone was so frightened that they retreated a few miles away. Death Mage could be seen raising the Death Mage's scythe and fiercely slashing it forward. The huge might of the scythe spread out in a fan shape. Boom boom boom. Immediately, a series of rumbling sounds rang out in the world, shaking everyone's heart. Wave after wave of air was like a surging giant beast, engulfing everything in front of it. Starting from beneath Death Mage's feet, everything in front of Death Mage's body disappeared. The mountain that was still there just a moment ago had already been evaporated. The might of the Death Mage's scythe was actually so terrifying, everyone was so frightened that they retreated frantically to prevent themselves from getting injured. However, Xiao Yi's figure gradually appeared and stood steadily in the sky. The mystic tortoise armor blossomed with a bit of light, and the cloak on his back slowly fluttered. The spectators couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Such a powerful might, and he is actually not injured in the slightest. As expected, Xiao family's family head is formidable. However, no one saw that there was a trace of blood on Xiao Yi's face. Xiao Yi, who was standing in the sky, looked down at Death Mage, and the astonishment in his eyes was unable to be concealed. Just now, I wanted to engage in close combat with Death Mage, and I didn't expect that Death Mage would actually make such a move. This is simply terrifying to the extreme. Not only is this Death Mage capable of long-range combat, he is also capable of close combat. Just who the fuck is this Death Mage? Just when Xiao Yi was feeling furious, he suddenly felt a killing intent coming from above his head. Xiao Yi's gaze became serious, and the xuanhuan sword in his hand immediately slashed towards the sky. Bang! The golden xuanhuan sword and the silver-white death scythe collided head-on, and the resulting shockwave spread out in all directions. Trees were uprooted one after another, and even the people who were standing a few miles away could feel the scorching heat rushing towards their faces. This is a true expert. On the battlefield, Death Mage looked at his scythe, and a crack actually appeared on it after being slashed by Xiao Yi's weapon. What a good weapon. Xiao Yi also saw this and he sneered. This emperor's weapon is xuanhuan sword, how can it be blocked by a small scythe like yours? However, Xiao Yi forgot one thing: just how powerful was xuanhuan sword. It was only able to cause a crack on Xiao Yi's weapon, and that was enough to prove that Xiao Yi's weapon was not ordinary. Of course, Xiao Yi would be immensely pleased with himself. After all, he had subconsciously placed Xiao Yi on the same level as him, and when he was able to cause damage to Xiao Yi, he would definitely feel extremely pleased. Chapter 102. When it comes to close combat, Xiao Yi was indeed a veteran. Death Mage was being a little too careless in this aspect. It was clear that he was underestimating his opponent. However, Death Mage, who had all sorts of buffs, was not someone to be trifled with. Die. Xiao Yi's killing intent surged. The xuanhuan sword in his hand felt its master's killing intent, and the light on the sword became even more dazzling. The technique that Death Mage was using was incomparably simple, even a child would know about it. Other than slashing, it was just slashing. Right now, the two of them were competing to see who would reveal a flaw first. However, both of them were people who had been through hundreds of battles, so how could it be that easy for them to reveal a flaw? Not a single person could be seen in the entire battlefield, and one could only hear the deafening loud sounds, and the ground that was collapsing in all directions. The people who were watching the battle were all stupefied. To demand a debt to this extent, there really isn't anyone else who can do this. The two of them immediately separated from each other. The scythe in Death Mage's hand was already severely damaged, and the blade of the scythe was uneven. Furthermore, a few of Death Mage's ribs had been broken, and his situation was not very good. Furthermore, Death Mage seemed to have exhausted a bit of his strength. However, Xiao Yi was not in a good state either. His golden robe had already been torn into pieces, and the mystic tortoise strange armor that he was wearing was filled with cracks, just like a spider web. Without the defense of the mystic tortoise strange armor, how would Xiao Yi be able to withstand Death Mage's crazy attacks? Furthermore, Xiao Yi's current situation was more or less the same as Death Mage's. After a long period of consumption, Xiao Yi was starting to show signs of fatigue. The amount of spiritual qi in his body was also running out. He quietly took out a pill and stuffed it into his mouth. Xiao Yi felt his spiritual energy slowly recovering, but it was useless. He had to finish the battle quickly. Ha! Xiao Yi shouted, and the xuanhuan sword in his hand shone brightly again. Xuanhuan art, furious slash. Xiao Yi's eyes immediately turned golden, and his entire body leapt up high into the air. The sword that he was holding with one hand became a two-handed sword, and the powerful pressure that he emitted caused the ground that Death Mage was standing on to collapse. This time Xiao Yi didn't attack Death Mage but the weapon in Death Mage's hand. Because Xiao Yi felt that Death Mage's weapon was on the verge of breaking. As long as Death Mage's weapon was cut off, Death Mage's disadvantage would be revealed. This was the difference between their equipment. Xiao Yi was wearing a full set of godly equipment, while Death Mage's entire body was filled with skeletons. If it wasn't for the fact that Xiao Yi was buffed with magic, Death Mage would have long been chopped into pieces by the xuanhuan sword. However, Death Mage also knew that he did not have much mana left, and his mood was exceptionally terrible. This damned human actually made me so miserable. Boom. The two weapons clashed against each other again, and just like what Xiao Yi had expected, Death Mage's weapon was instantly cut into two. The silver-white light disappeared, and Death Mage's weapon returned to its original black color. When Death Mage saw that his scythe was cut into two by a human, he immediately let out a roar that would make people tremble with fear. Black fog began to emit out from Death Mage's entire body. Death Mage had already lost his rationality. If Master were to find out that he still ended up like this after dealing with a human, where would his face be? Where would his honor's face be? Damn humans, go to hell. Use your blood to wash away your shame. A huge amount of magic power burst out from Death Mage's body, and the people who were a few kilometers away immediately felt as if a small mountain was pressing down on their bodies. Without caring about anything else, they immediately activated their movement techniques and immediately ran for their lives. However, when they were running for their lives, every single one of them coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood. And Xiao Yi, who was the closest to Death Mage, was able to sense the craziness of Death Mage even more clearly. His gaze was filled with shock and fear. I never thought that Death Mage would be this abnormal. If Death Mage had used his full strength from the start, I might not have been able to defend against him. But now, Xiao quickly stuffed a few pills into its mouth. Right now he could only fight with his life on the line. If it didn't die, then he would die. Xuanhuan art, blood sacrifice. This was the move that Xiao did not want to use the most. It was a move that would cause him to lose 3,000 of his life force. Although he could instantly increase his strength, the side effect was that his lifespan and cultivation would decrease. If he were to use this move, he might not even be able to defeat Tang Wuxuan. However, he had no choice but to use it. Xiao grabbed onto the Xuanhuan sword with his left hand, and fresh blood immediately gushed out from the Xuanhuan sword. The Xuanhuan sword was like a gluttonous child as it continuously sucked the blood out of the Xuanhuan sword. Xiao Yi's complexion quickly turned pale. However, in just an instant, a power that could destroy the heavens and earth surged out from his body. This power made Xiao Yi feel as if he was back in the past. Xuanhuan art, divine destruction. Xiao Yi's body could be seen emitting a golden light, and it actually merged with the Xuanhuan sword. The Xuanhuan sword flickered with a multicolored light, and the sword chi spread out in all directions, bringing with it an aura that could crush everything in the world. The temperature in the surroundings suddenly rose, and the aura of a monarch was being emitted from the Xuanhuan sword, causing people to have the urge to worship it. However, all of this was useless against Death Mage. Right now, he only wanted to wash away his shame even if he had to pay the price. This time Xiao Yi's timing was very good. He made a decisive decision and used this move without any hesitation. After all, Death Mage was still in the middle of chanting the Xuanhuan sword, and he had yet to complete the super magic. In the next moment, Xuanhuan sword flew towards Death Mage and everything that it passed through turned into dust. Soon after, the Xuanhuan sword fiercely collided with the edge of the black mist, and a dazzling light immediately blossomed out from the Xuanhuan sword, lighting up the night sky once again. Death Mage resisted the power of the Xuanhuan sword with all his might. However, he had lost his left arm, and adding on the fact that his magic was exhausted, he was completely unable to resist against Xiao Yi, who had used a forbidden technique. Xuanhuan's sword slowly pierced through the layer of black mist and headed straight towards Death Mage, who was within the black mist. Your Honor, Master. Subordinate has failed in his task. The scorching heat emitted out from Xuanhuan's sword instantly turned Death Mage into dust, and after the black mist dispersed, the world returned back to normal. Splash, splash, splash. Heavy rain suddenly started pouring down from the sky, and the rain fell onto the ground that looked like tofu dregs and onto a person's body. The black tortoise bizarre armor that Xiao Yi was wearing was already completely broken apart, and only the shoulder guard was left. Right now Xiao Yi was supporting himself with Xuanhuan's sword, and blood was flowing out from his mouth non-stop. I didn't expect that layer of black mist to be so powerful, to be able to heavily injure me once again, making my situation even worse. Luckily, I managed to kill the black mist without any mishaps. Just that, the injuries that Xiao Yi received will probably take at least 10 years to recover. Cough, cough, cough. Xiao Yi let out a violent cough, and with every cough, blood would spurt out from his mouth. Xiao Yi's entire body was pale and powerless, just like a corpse. Although he managed to kill Death Mage, he wasn't any better off. Even his strongest defense, the Mystic Tortoise Bizarre Armor, was shattered, and not to mention the side effects of the forbidden technique, Xiao Yi paid a painful price in exchange for victory. Congratulations to Xiao family head for defeating a strong enemy, we admire you greatly. Congratulations to Xiao family head, we admire you greatly. Xiao family head's heroic bearing is extraordinary, we admire you wholeheartedly. A few figures landed beside Xiao Yi, and Xiao Yi had no choice but to prop his body up and pretend to be very relaxed. Furthermore, he even had to carry a smile on his face. However, this smile of his caused the injuries within his body to worsen, causing him to be unable to vomit blood out. Right now, I am very weak. If they want to attack me, I don't even have the strength to fight back at all. Furthermore, who doesn't want to possess a treasure like Xuanhuan's sword? To be able to kill such a strong enemy is more than enough to prove everything. Xiao Yi straightened his back and coldly swept his gaze across everyone. The latter couldn't help but take a step back. I didn't expect that this Xiao Yi still has strength. Chapter 103. Enduring the dizziness, Xiao Yi left the scene. Everyone let out a sigh of relief. They were really afraid that Xiao Yi would kill someone. On the way back, Xiao Yi couldn't endure it anymore and vomited blood. After eating a few medicinal pills, he felt a bit better and found a water source to wash his face. He didn't want his wives to worry. Even though he had wiped off the blood stains, He still exuded a sickly aura, as if he was about to die. After returning to the Xiao mansion, Xiao Yi was in a daze. It was as if he could faint at any moment, as if he was drunk. The 6 wives sat in the front hall, anxiously waiting for their husbands to return. When they saw their husbands stumbling over, the wives immediately went forward to support them. "Brother Xiao, what's wrong? Where are you hurt?" Nangong Sini's expression changed greatly. This was the first time she saw Xiao Yi so weak. "Sini, hurry up and support Brother Xiao." "Let me see." The woman who spoke was precisely Xuanhuan. Her medical skills were outstanding, and back then she also fell in love with Xiao Yi's medical skills. Xiao Yi replied weakly, "I'm fine." "Hold him down," Xuanhuan said in a tender voice. She placed her delicate hand on her husband's wrist, and her expression immediately changed. It was too heavy. It was already a miracle that he was still alive. "Xuanhuan, how is Brother Xiao?" Yuqi asked hurriedly. Xiao Yi gave Xuanhuan a look. Xuanhuan sighed, "Brother Xiao is fine. He will be fine after a few days of rest." However, in his heart, he was afraid that he would not recover even after a few years of rest. But the other wives would rather believe this result. In Long and City's midnight snack stall, Wei Chang and Tang Wei sat at the side of a small table eating skewers. Tang Wei told Wei Chang about the interesting things that happened when she was young, and Wei Chang listened attentively and drank a mouthful of beer from time to time. Instantly, Wei Chang frowned. "Uncle Wei, do you feel uncomfortable?" Wei Chang smiled. "Maybe I drank too much cold beer. I'm going to the toilet." "Uncle Wei, I told you not to drink too much ice. Let me help you over." "Xiaotang, your Uncle Wei, am not that weak. Just sit here and wait for me." Wei Chang pressed Tang Wei down, and the moment he turned around, his face was extremely black. Death Mage actually died. How was this possible? After walking into the toilet inside the supper stall, Wei Chang closed the door and said in a deep voice, "Evil spirit, Death Mage." A black vortex appeared on the ground. The black robe, the scythe of death with the smell of death, appeared once again. Of course, there was also the skeleton. "Master." Death Mage shouted out with deep regret, and prepared to greet Yi Hua. Wei Chang shouted in a low voice, "All right, stop kneeling, the ground is very dirty." "What's going on? I told you to collect a debt and kill someone. How did you end up killing yourself?" Wei Chang was unable to understand. Death Mage's strength was not weak. Even if he couldn't defeat Death Mage, he should still be able to run away. Yet he was actually killed by someone. "Master, I'm suffering too." "Master, it is subordinate who has underestimated the enemy, and has brought shame to his honor and master. Let subordinate complete this mission, and then use my death to atone for my sins." To be honest, Death Mage didn't want to be summoned by his master again. It was too shameful. This was what it meant to be reckless. He lost completely because of his recklessness. Wei Chang's mood wasn't very good either. If his honor were to know that there was such a process in the mission this time around, I wonder what kind of rage his honor would have. Wei Chang seemed to have already heard his honor's curses. "Enough, I don't want to listen to your explanation. You better keep this matter to yourself. If this matter were to be spread out, the first person that I will kill is you." Who would dare to talk about such a shameful matter to others? Just how shameful would that be? "Master, be at ease, subordinate will keep my mouth shut." Wei Chang paused for a moment, then asked while wrinkling his brows, "Is that Xiao Yi really that powerful? Even you are not his match?" "Master, that Xiao Yi is indeed not bad. He is the strongest human that subordinate has ever seen. However, subordinate did not lose to him, rather, subordinate lost to him." Death Mage said embarrassedly. "This is all because Master's requirements are too high. I can't kill Xiao Yi, I can only cripple Xiao Yi. Controlling Xiao Yi is very difficult." Wei Chang couldn't help but slap onto Death Mage's skull. "Who did you learn this kind of conduct from? I will give you one last chance. If you are still unable to complete this mission, then you will have to stay in purgatory forever. I will obey Master's command." Death Mage held back a stomach full of anger. This damned human actually caused me to be reprimanded by Master. If it wasn't for Master only ordering me to kill one person, I would have definitely slaughtered all of them. Go. Seeing that subordinate had disappeared, Wei Chang rubbed onto the bridge of his nose. In the end, didn't his honor still lose because of being reckless? Sigh, which of the 7 sins isn't reckless? In actuality, Death Mage can't be blamed. His understanding of human nature is too little. Perhaps it is time for him to find a girlfriend. Death Mage expressed that I am not interested in women, I am only interested in balls. Knock knock knock. "Uncle Wei, is your diarrhea very bad? I bought medicine for you just now." Tang Wei knocked on the door and shouted out tenderly. Hearing Tang Wei's voice, Wei Chang, who had a bad temper, gradually relaxed. Opening the door, Wei Chang smiled and said, "Xiao Tang, I am fine now." "Uncle Wei, why does your complexion look so bad? Let me bring you to the hospital." Tang Wei touched onto Wei Chang's cheek and said with concern. Wei Chang held onto Tang Wei's small hand. "There is no need to go to the hospital, I will send you back first." "Are you really fine?" Tang Wei was still very worried. Wei Chang pinched onto Tang Wei's nose. "I am fine." When Death Mage arrived at the scene of the accident, once again he discovered that the damned human had disappeared, and his phone was destroyed as well. Death Mage was simply about to go crazy. "That is an Apple X that I bought while enduring the pain in my heart. Not only does this damned human want to pay me back 50 billion in a human life, he also wants to pay me back my Apple X." After finished speaking, Death Mage disappeared from where he was and arrived at the entrance of Xiao residence. The two security guards were stupefied. At the front hall, Xuanhuan was currently helping Xiao Yi bandage up his external injuries. Xiao Yi's internal injuries could only be slowly nursed back to health. "Cinny, I will be going into closed-door training soon, and I won't be able to accompany you and Yun to register for the tournament tomorrow," Xiao Yi said gravely. "After going through this battle, Xiao family will definitely reach new heights. However, I have to recover my strength as soon as possible." Nangong Cinny said concernedly, "Brother Xiao, you can go into closed-door training with a peace of mind. I will take care of the matters at home. And with you two here I can be at ease." Xiao Yi stretched out his hand and touched onto his beloved wife's cheek, and doting could be seen within his gaze. Meanwhile, Nangong Cinny was enjoying her husband's caress very much. "GGG." Immediately, a strange sound transmitted into the front hall. The tender expression on Xiao Yi's face froze, and the 6 wives turned their heads and looked towards the entrance. Sickle. Black robe. It was a strange sound. Death Mage walked towards the front hall step by step, and stopped when he was 5 meters away from the front hall. The atmosphere in the front hall immediately froze. Xiao Yi looked at Death Mage, who was walking towards him foolishly, and his mind was in a daze. Didn't I turn Death Mage into powder? How long has it been since then? Why did Death Mage come out again? Or could it be that Death Mage has a brother? GGG, Imperial Translation. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Xiao Yi couldn't be any more familiar with this kind of sound. Why did Death Mage come back to life? Why is it like this? In order to kill Death Mage, I paid a painful price. Why did Death Mage come back to life in an instant? No, this isn't fair. The heavens aren't fair. Chapter 104. Death Mage stood there woodenly and didn't make any movements. It was as if he was a relative or friend who had come to visit him. However, everyone present knew that he didn't come with good intentions. Xiao Yi's wives knew that they weren't a match for this monster, but they still protected him. If he wanted to die, he would kill them first. If Lai Gu was here, he would definitely take Xiao Yi in and train him well. Lai Gu wasn't a picky eater, and furthermore, all of Xiao Yi's wives were beautiful and alluring. It was a pity that Death Mage wasn't interested in them. "Get out. You're not welcome here." Yuchi didn't know where she got her courage from, but she shouted in a deep voice. Xiao Yi propped himself up from the chair. He was afraid that he would be doomed tonight. "Let them out. Your opponent is me," Xiao Yi coldly said. However, the moment he spoke, his wound opened up and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. "Brother Xiao, you can't fight anymore." Xu Nan immediately supported her husband and used her white sleeves to wipe off the blood stains. Her eyes were filled with worry. Yuchi nodded. "Brother Xiao, although we don't know much about martial arts, we can still fight with this monster." Xiao Yi gasped for breath. Now wasn't the time to be a hero. He had to run as fast as he could. "Why are you so disobedient? Let's go." Xiao Yi cried out in pain. He didn't know that he would have such a day. In the past, it was always him who made others suffer, but now it was his turn. Was this heaven's retribution for him? Nangong Cinny supported her husband and said softly, "Brother Xiao, even if we die, we will die together." Yes, that's right. The eyes of the 6 women were firm. They did not wish to be born on the same day, but they wished to die on the same day. "Why are you doing this, Cinny? Take good care of Yun. Yuchi, be a good girl and give birth to your daughter." Xiao Yi's tone was almost pleading. However, the girls had already made up their minds. If they were to die, they would die together. "Do you want me to kneel down and beg you?" Xiao Yi roared angrily and immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Yuchi's white pajamas were instantly dyed red. "Brother Xiao, Brother Xiao." Right when the two of them were reluctant to part with each other, Death Mage finally moved. Stretching out his hand, Death Mage pointed towards the phone that was on the table. Everyone was shocked. Xiao said in a deep voice, "Give it the phone." Nangong Sini picked up the phone and passed it to Death Mage. When Death Mage held onto the phone, he discovered that it was not unlocked, so he gestured to Nangong Sini. This handphone belonged to Xuanhuan. Looking at the skeleton in front of her, she did not feel any fear in her heart. She picked up the handphone from the skeleton's hand and scanned her own face, then heavily threw the handphone onto Death Mage's hand. GGG, Imperial Translation. He has character. He reached out his hand and tapped on the screen of his phone and the screen lit up. It was still scrolling. It was still the same word. Pay back the money. Everyone was startled. I had originally thought that the other party was here to take revenge, but I didn't expect that the other party was still here to return the money. Why is he so stubborn? Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. If it was just money then it was fine. Sini, prepare the money. Xiao said weakly. Nangong Sini frowned. We don't have that much cash. Even if we want to raise money, it's not something that can be done in a short while. Then we'll use real estate to pay for it, Xiao said. Although it was not worth it, it was the only hope to save his family. Nangong Sini nodded her head. Suddenly she felt that Wang Debao was too much of a mechanism. A few days ago I was still laughing at him for being stupid, but I didn't expect that he was actually a smart person. Regret, I blame myself for randomly coming up with this idea. Wait a moment, I'll go and write the transfer letter. Nangong Sini said coldly. Death Mage actually nodded his head, causing everyone to let out a sigh of relief. As long as the problem could be solved with money, then it wouldn't be a problem. Suddenly, Death Mage saw a television that was placed at the side. Under everyone's astonished gaze, Death Mage walked over, turned on the television and selected CCTV 5. However, the match had just ended and when Death Mage saw the score on the television, his entire person felt bad. Forget about being killed once, I even lost the ball. I even lost all of my belongings. I can't tolerate this anymore, I'm going to castrate those useless humans, they can't even win against South Korea. Xiao was feeling very bad right now. From the start until now, the other party had already watched the World Cup 4 times, and 2 of those times were even during the World Cup. Why is it so attached to the World Cup? Why did I lose to such a strange opponent? Why? My illustrious reputation has been ruined tonight. Bang. Death Mage smashed the coffee table with a punch, giving everyone a fright. Death Mage thought that the other party was going to flip out, but who knew that he would walk back and forth, point at the television and let out that horrifying voice, seemingly as if he was cursing at the television. After cursing at the television, Death Mage decided that he was going to get back his money. Those money that they had was illegal, I have the right to get it back. After I finish this matter, I will go and get back my debt. In any case, I had gambled 1,000 RMB, and that was all of my belongings. Recently, Master has been giving me very little work, and I am not able to earn much money. I am even almost unable to pay the electricity bill. And this time, I am also unable to draw any water from the 50 billion that I stepped on. That is His Honor's money, just thinking about it makes me scared. Death Mage turned his head around and took a look at the beauties. The things that are on their necks, fingers and wrists, those things seem to be quite valuable. Xiao Yi's wives naturally noticed Death Mage's gaze. Although Death Mage doesn't have any eyeballs, they were still able to feel that Death Mage was looking at their bodies. The shameless skeleton. Death Mage hugged onto his scythe and walked here and there. Sometimes he would even walk to the side of the 6 women and look at their progress. Death Mage was acting just like a loafer. Xiao Yi found it hard to believe that he would lose to an opponent like this. Death Mage doesn't even have a bit of the demeanor of an expert. In any case, I have killed you once, but you don't even look at me, you are simply a bastard. Did your hatred get eaten by dogs? About half an hour later, Nangong Sini finished drafting the transfer documents, and even stamped her official seal and signature on the documents. Nangong Sini handed over the documents and said coldly, the market value of these 3 companies is more than 50 billion. Only more, no less. Death Mage didn't even look at the documents and kept them into his bosom, then pointed at the beauties. The 6 beauties couldn't help but take a step back. Xiao Yi even slammed the table and stood up, but very quickly, he vomited out a mouthful of blood and sat back down. Right now, Death Mage just wanted to say, the thoughts of you humans are too dirty. After Death Mage signaled to the women finally understood. This skeleton wants jewelry. However, these jewelry were all given to them by Xiao Yi. Although they were a bit reluctant to part with these jewelry, but no matter how reluctant they were, they still had to hand over the jewelry. Death Mage happily kept the jewelry, then picked up his phone and tapped on it again. He was preparing to do one last thing. Death Mage took out his phone. Collect interest. Xiao Yi and the others cursed at Death Mage for being shameless. These three companies are all worth more than 50 billion, and yet, Death Mage still wants to collect interest. However, when Xiao Yi saw the last few words on the phone, his heart sunk. One life. Death Mage seemed to have forgotten something as he typed out another message. Chapter 105. Death Mage recalled his master's instructions. It seems to be like this if I didn't remember wrongly. Xiao Yi's entire body was shaking. This was going too far. He actually wanted him to kill the person he loved the most. Otherwise all of them would die. Xiao Yi opened his bloodshot eyes wide and suddenly shouted, "Bastard! I'll fight it out with you. Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Brother Xiao, don't move anymore, you will die if you continue like this." Xuanhuan knew that her husband's injuries must have worsened again. "Don't pull me, I want to perish together with it." Xiao Yi rolled and crawled over to Death Mage's side, then grabbed onto Death Mage's bones and shouted angrily. Death Mage remained indifferent as he waited for them to make their choice. It has been a long time since I have heard such words from Death Mage and I am feeling a bit nostalgic. Nangong Sini didn't pull her husband. She said softly, "Brother Xiao, you often saved me in the past. This time, it's Sini's turn to save you and the whole Xiao family." Xiao Yi turned his head in a daze and looked at his wife's gentle smile. Bits and pieces of their past flashed through his mind like a movie. No. Sini, you can't do this." Xiao Yi couldn't even stand up and crawl to his wife. Nangong Sini squatted down and combed her husband's hair. She gently wiped the blood from the corner of her husband's mouth. "Brother Xiao, to be able to know you, Sini has never regretted in this life. Although you were very annoying at the beginning, I still like you. After I leave you have to take good care of Yunair, understand?" Xiao Yi stretched out his trembling hand and caressed his wife's cheek. "Don't, we still have a long way to go, Yuna cannot be without a mother." "Brother Xiao, Sister Sini, let me do it." Xuanhuan took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. Yuqi couldn't stop crying. "Let me do it. Yuqi, you have a child. Let me do it. Let me do it, Brother Xiao." Nangong Sini's eyebrows furrowed as she lightly shouted, "All of you shut up. Your mission in the future is to take good care of Brother Xiao. This was all my idea. If I had asked Brother Xiao to return the money, this wouldn't have happened. I should be the one to bear the consequences." Death Mage seemed to have become impatient from waiting. "Hurry up and kill one of them so that I can go and collect the debt from the others." Imperial translator, hurry up. Nangong Sini could tell that he was telling them to hurry up. She said softly, "Brother Xiao, let me do something for the Xiao family. Otherwise Yunair will not be safe. Where there's life, there's hope. Don't look down on women." Nangong Sini was asking her husband to endure and wait for him to rise again. "Brother Xiao, Sini won't be able to take care of you in the future. You have to take good care of yourself and Yun, he's our only son." Nangong Sini, who had always been strong, couldn't help but burst into tears when she thought of her son. As an immortal emperor, Xiao Yi had never cried before. But now, his face was full of tears and helplessness. "Sini, let me kill you. How could I do it?" Xiao Yi cried out in pain. Blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth and his eyes were bloodshot. Nangong Sini immediately stood up, picked up the xuanhuan sword at the side, and then placed it in her husband's hand. "Brother Xiao, since things have come to this, do you want to see us all die? Do you want to see Yunair die? Do you want to see the child in Yuqi's belly die? Since when did you become so indecisive?" Xiao Yi had never felt that the xuanhuan sword was so heavy. He looked at his wife and said, "I can't do it, I really can't do it." Just when the Xiao family was reluctant to part with the xuanhuan sword, a black whirlpool appeared in the hall. A figure walked out from the whirlpool and his entire body was wrapped in black mist. The Xiao family was all stupefied. Who is this? However, in the next second they were even more shocked. Death Mage retreated a few steps and knelt on the ground. With both of his hands on the ground, he respectfully shouted, "Master." That's right, the person who came was Wei Chang. He had just sent Tang Wei home and realized that his subordinates were not done with their business. Did something happen again? Thus he specially came over to take a look. Xiao Yi only felt that the world was spinning. This skeleton was already very powerful, and it actually made the black mist so respectful. Then what realm was this black mist at? Xiao Yi had never felt that he was so insignificant before. He felt that this black mist could kill him with a single finger. Just who are they? It's impossible that they are the people that man called over. How could this kind of expert be controlled by others? Wei Chang nodded. Death Mage stood up and took out his phone to type something. Then he showed his phone. We pay our respects to Master. Everyone from the Xiao family had their own dignity, but Death Mage had already released his might, causing everyone to kneel on the ground. Wei Chang looked at the person in front of him coldly. To actually dare to refuse to pay me back, you truly deserve to die. After taking over the document that Death Mage passed over, Wei Chang took a look at the document and kept it. Then he said faintly, "Hurry up." Death Mage replied respectfully. And Wei Chang took another look at the document, then stepped into the black whirlpool and disappeared. Death Mage typed another word. Last minute. All of the women felt that they had provoked an extremely powerful person this time around. This was a feeling that they had never felt before. In the past, they felt that they still had the ability to fight back, but the person who just appeared did not even have the thought of fighting back. How could Xiaoyi not have the same feeling? Chapter 106. Because of the angle, Xiaoyun didn't see his mother who was in his father's embrace. "Daddy, I miss Mommy." Hearing his son's words, tears of regret flowed out from Xiaoyi's eyes. Xuanhuan immediately carried Xiaoyun and pretended that nothing happened, then said with a smile, Mommy went out tonight to earn money for Yun." Xiaoyun pouted his small mouth. "Mommy also said that I will accompany Yun to sign up for the children's soccer team tomorrow." "Yun, be good, I will accompany you to sign up for the soccer team, okay? Daddy is very tired today and I need to rest tomorrow." Xuanhuan comforted Nangong Sini's only son, but every word that she said made her heart ache. "And Yun'er is very good. When Mommy comes back, let Mommy watch Yun'er's match." "Mommy will definitely watch Yun'er's match, and I will also cheer for Yun'er." The corner of the little fellow's mouth raised up. "Mommy will definitely be proud of Yun'er." When Xuanhuan carried Xiaoyun and left, mournful cries rang out in the living room. Xiao Yi carried his beloved wife's corpse and looked at the pitch-black sky outside. After a long while, Xiao Yi said gravely, "Sini's death will not be announced to the public, I will find a way to save her. As for the hatred of killing my wife, absolutely irreconcilable. If I admit defeat so easily, then I wouldn't be an immortal emperor." Xiao Yi swore that when I recover to my peak strength, I will settle all the old and new grudges together. As for why he concealed the news of Xiao Yi's death, Xiao Yi didn't want anyone to know that someone killed his beloved wife, and that he was powerless to do anything about it. If Wei Chang knew what Xiao Yi was thinking right now, he would definitely use his honor's words. A salted fish will always be a salted fish, even if it turns over, it will still be a salted fish. Xiao family was destined to have a tragedy tonight. However, in the eyes of Wei Chang and the others, this kind of ending was extremely fortunate. If it was in the past, Xiao family would have already been exterminated. As for keeping Xiao Yi alive, it wasn't that Yihua didn't think about it. After all, life is as dull as water, and it is still possible to occasionally have some fun. I just hope that Xiao Yi will work hard and not let me down. However, as a supreme overlord, Yihua was currently facing a headache. Xianxia was actually lying on his chest and talking in her sleep. "Yihua, I'm going to spank your butt, you high and mighty fellow." Xianxia hugged onto Yihua's body like a koala bear while clamoring. From time to time, Xianxia would punch onto Yihua's body. Although the punches were very light, it was enough to wake Yihua up. This foolish woman, she actually dares to say such unrealistic words. How can my butt be something that you can hit? Even when I am sleeping, you are still so restless. God knows where the blanket has been moved to. Yihua let out a sigh, then lowered the temperature of the air conditioner by a bit, then covered that alluring and lovely body of hers. After that, he stood up and walked into his office, lit up a cigarette and looked at the full moon. "Your Honor." Not knowing when, Wei Chang appeared behind Yihua and was respectfully kneeling on the ground. Wei Chang took out the document bag and said, "Your Honor, the matter has been settled." Yihua silently took a puff of the cigarette, then puffed out a lump of smoke. At first glance, the smoke actually formed a skull, but very quickly the skull dissipated. Compared to money, what Yihua cared more about was whether the mysterious person was dead or not. Who did she kill? Xiao Yi's true love, Nangong Sini. Yihua thought back to the woman who was at the banquet that night, and he didn't have any good impression of her. "If your honor is not satisfied, subordinate can go and kill a few more of them," Wei Chang said coldly. "I feel that your honor doesn't seem to be satisfied." "No need, don't forget our identity, we are law-abiding people. Your honor is wise, subordinate is truly enlightened." Yihua flicked the cigarette ash. "Oh right, how is Long Out Yin's side?" "Subordinate has arranged for people to watch over him, He won't be jumping out to cause trouble in a short period of time. Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette and said faintly, just let them work hard for a bit, if not, they won't know what true despair is. Wei Chang's eyes shone. His honor has really changed. In the past, his honor would always push his way forward, but now he knows how to strategize. Your honor's good fortune is as boundless as the heavens, subordinate is far inferior to you. Yi Hua patted onto Wei Chang's shoulder. Heavens? Hee, go back and sleep early, don't let your little girlfriend wait for too long. Wei Chang didn't explain. As an overlord subordinate, even I don't know how to open my mouth, so I asked Lai Gu. And Lai Gu's answer was very straightforward. If you take off your pants, then do it. Could it be that you are going to wear your pants and do it? Wei Chang couldn't be as straightforward as Lai Gu. Xiao Tang is a good girl, how can she be compared to those celebrities? Originally, I had that thought tonight and I had even prepared the condoms, but in the end, didn't an accident occur? Forget it, I feel so vexed, I should just ask his honor to give me an idea. Lai Gu is too unreliable. Your honor, subordinate has a question. I hope that your honor can enlighten subordinate. Yi Hua, who was preparing to return, turned around and asked curiously, what is it? Wei Chang stammered, feeling a little embarrassed. Looking at Wei Chang's expression, Yi Hua became even more curious. This kind of expression doesn't seem to be something that should appear on Wei Chang's face. Speak. Chapter 107. Xianxia placed the soup dumplings on the plate, then turned her head around and looked towards Yi Hua. Why are you still in a daze for? Quickly go and wash your face and brush your teeth, it won't taste good if it gets cold. Yi Hua wrinkled his brows, seemingly a bit unhappy. Come over. What? Xianxia is the same as well. I went out early in the morning to buy food for you to eat, yet when you come back you don't even give me a good look. I'm simply unable to communicate with you. If I ask you to come over, then just come over, why are you talking so much nonsense? Yi Hua's tone became heavier, causing Xianxia to feel very unhappy and wronged. However, he wanted to see what this bastard was going to do. If he took an inch, he would definitely run away from home this time. With a face filled with coldness, Xianxia sat beside Yi Hua, and when Yi Hua saw Xianxia's wet appearance, he wished that he could slap this foolish woman awake. Doesn't she know how to take shelter from the rain? Yi Hua stretched out his hand and placed it on Xianxia's back. A gentle radiance appeared on Yi Hua's palm, and Xianxia's beautiful hair and clothes were gradually dried. Don't you know to bring an umbrella when you go out? Why are you so stupid? Yi Hua lectured. Originally, Xianxia thought that Yi Hua would fly into a rage, and didn't expect that it would be like this. Feeling the warmth coming from Yi Hua's back, Xianxia's heart felt like it was about to melt. This fellow is just too concerned about my face. Xianxia snorted. Isn't it all for the sake of letting you eat something hot? Looking at Xianxia's slightly arrogant appearance, Yi Hua suddenly had the urge to push her down, just like how he dealt with her that night. However, Yi Hua endured this urge. The words that the Supreme Overlord had said are like water that was spilled out. It is absolutely impossible for me to make irresponsible remarks. Not long later, Xianxia's clothes dried up. Yi Hua stood up and said faintly, let's go out and eat breakfast together tomorrow. After finished speaking, Xianxia went to wash up, leaving behind the adorable Xianxia. However, right now, Xianxia was still feeling very happy in her heart. In actuality, having a cultivator as a husband is not bad. To think that a cultivator actually knows how to dry clothes, in the future I will even have money left for ironing clothes. Yi Hua had a bit of understanding towards the soup dumplings. After dipping the soup dumpling into the chili sauce, the soup dumpling would become bright red, and it would look very appetizing. With a bite, the meat filling of the soup dumpling and the chili sauce would mix together in the mouth, and it would feel very comfortable. However, eating a steamed bun and drinking a mouthful of kelp soup was a perfect match. In actuality, the reason why Yi Hua was willing to stay in this world and not leave was also because of food. Yi Hua, bring me along after breakfast, Yi Hua asked faintly. Addicted? How can this be called addiction? When I can eat chicken on my own, it will be a great success. I'm still addicted. It's not addiction. You're really addicted. Yi Hua, do you want to quarrel again? I'm bored anyway. Let's quarrel first. Xianxia, this fellow was much gentler yesterday, but he was still the same today. He even said that he was bored and quarreled first. What kind of husband and wife would quarrel for no reason? I'm already full, you can eat by yourself. Xianxia pouted coquettishly, then turned around and walked towards her little sister's room. Yi Hua drank a mouthful of kelp soup, then said faintly, you are still addicted to it. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Yihua picked up the documents from the office, then went to Qing Yutong's room. As expected, Qing Yutong was sitting alone in the room, and Qing Yutong had a serious look on her face. His results were not bad. He actually managed to get to 15. His chances of getting chicken dinner were very high. However, Yihua decided to let Xianxia experience the feeling of a black screen. Casually walking past the power source, Xianxia, who was extremely nervous, suddenly went into a daze. Why did the screen turn black? When she turned her head around to take a look, she discovered that her man's leg was touching the power source. Yihua. Oh, I accidentally kicked it. Yihua turned his head around and looked elsewhere. I'm going to fight it out with you. Xianxia immediately jumped onto Yihua's body, seemingly wanting to suffocate Yihua to death. Do you know how it feels now? This was the revenge of a supreme overlord. Xianxia punched onto Yihua's chest with her small fists. Yihua took out the document bag and waved it in front of Xianxia's eyes. Take a look. Humph, what is this? Xianxia jumped down and took over the document bag from Yihua's hands. Don't think that by gifting me a few things, I will be able to forgive your actions just now. You have to bring me to eat chicken dinner for an entire day. Xianxia pouted her small mouth and mumbled. However, when she saw the contents of the document bag, she was completely stupefied. Pointing at the document bag, then pointing at Yihua, she was shocked to the point that she couldn't speak. Yihua sighed. Just this little thing and she is already shocked to this extent. After a while, Xianxia calmed down. Yihua, Xiao family returned the money to us, is this true? Could it be that this is fake? That's not right, they won't return the money to us. They aren't prepared to return the money to us, so I asked someone to go and check the accounts. Fortunately, they are tactful and returned the money to me. Yihua sat beside Qing Yutong's bed and said with a lukewarm tone, but there was a suspicion of him bragging, which was commonly known as acting cool. Chapter 108. That's right, if it was really that man who called them over, then who is he? Quan Anrong suggested, Wuxuang, you can find someone to test him out. And Rong, other people will be more curious about that man's identity, we should not stand out. Tang Wuxuang was not an idiot, even Xiaoyi suffered a loss, I have to be cautious. Hubby is still the smart one, quickly go and take a bath, then go and see how Brother Xiao is doing. Alright. Tang Wuxuang let out a breath. Brother Xiao did not die yesterday, Zijin City is going to be quiet again, and a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Why didn't the other party kill Xiaoyi? I really don't understand. Right now, inside Bai family's castle, Wang Debao and Bai Cixin had just finished their morning exercise. Wang Debao had a comfortable expression as he hugged onto the woman that other people were envious of. Only Wang Debao dares to press down on Bai family's woman. Wife, was the 50 billion spent worth it? Wang Debao said bewilderedly. From the situation last night, Xiaoyi seemed to have won. As for the black-robed man that appeared at the end, Wang Debao was not sure. Bai Cixin leaned on her husband's side and said faintly, I can only say that we didn't lose anything. Then should we ask for the money back? Wang Debao was also testing his wife's attitude, and he became a lot more daring. Debao, how about you go? Wang Debao paused for a moment, then looked at the ceiling and said, Do I, Wang Debao, look like someone who can't afford to lose? If I ask for the money back, how embarrassing would that be? Besides, it doesn't matter if I lose my face, but if I lose your face, that wouldn't be good. Bai Cixin laughed lightly, you really know how to talk. Wang Debao let out a sigh of relief, luckily my desire to live is high. Let's put aside the matter about the money first, you still have to go back to the south to control the situation. Those rich merchants of Long and City and Yun sect are searching for treasures together, you have to pay more attention to them. Bai Cixin sat up, her sexy body was exposed to the air, causing Wang Debao's eyes to stare straight at her. After putting on her light pajamas, Bai Cixin picked up the secret document on the table and took a look, then frowned. Wife, what's wrong? Bai Cixin put down the documents and walked to the window with graceful steps. She looked into the distance. Debao, go back to the south later. The treasure this time is not simple. You must find it before they do. Wang Debao put on his clothes and his expression became serious. Wife, what kind of treasure is it? Ancient godly item. Wang Debao's expression changed drastically and he muttered, when the xuanhuan sword appeared, the northerners fought until their heads bled, and there were countless casualties. After a few years, an ancient godly item actually appeared again. Isn't it because you are too noob? At most, you can be considered as a level 4 bun. Yihua said indifferently, angering Xianxia half to death. Who are you calling a level 4 bun? Xianxia shouted out gravely. A quarrel was going to happen at any moment. Could it be that there is someone else in this room? I'm going to fight it out with you. Xianxia directly jumped onto Yi Hua's thigh, and the posture was rather ambiguous. Children, please close your eyes. At this moment, the door of the room was suddenly pushed open, and Yi Hua and Xianxia immediately looked towards the door. Qin Yutong could be seen dragging her luggage and looking at her big sister and brother-in-law with an adorable look. You two are actually doing that in the room of an unmarried girl in broad daylight? You two are too perverted. Qin Yutong's face collapsed and said pitifully, as if she would not be able to get married in the future. Xianxia glared at Yi Hua fiercely and stood up. Why didn't you two give me a call? Big sister will go and pick you up. I almost blew up your phone calling. I think that you two can't wait for me to not go home. Xianxia touched her pocket, and only then did she remember that her phone was still in the bedroom, and Yi Hua's phone was most probably in the bedroom as well. Yutong, big sister will treat you to a big meal at noon. You want to pacify your little sister's hurt mood with just a meal? Whatever you say, in any case, big sister only has money left right now. Yi Hua leaned against the window and lit up a cigarette. Xianxia, it is almost noon, hurry up and sell the food. I'll go and get my phone. Qin Yutong was about to kneel down to Yi Hua. These two are planning to be otakus to death. In the past, big sister wasn't an otakus at all, but I didn't expect that after getting together with brother-in-law, she would instantly become an otakus, and even the company doesn't care about her anymore. If this goes on, I will be more or less the same as brother-in-law facing bankruptcy. Xianxia found her phone on the table in the bedroom and opened it to take a look. She discovered that there were a lot of missed calls, and among the missed calls were from Yutong and her father. Helpless, she could only call them. Dad. What's going on with Xiao family? Xuanhuan's questioning voice immediately rang out from the phone. Xianxia replied faintly, I don't know. You still don't know? Do you know how many people are distancing themselves from us? Isn't that even better? You are able to clearly distinguish who is good to you and who is bad to you. Chapter 109. Alright. Good. Now that your wings have grown, don't you? If you have the ability, then don't go back home for your entire life. On the other side of the phone, Qing Huaxian was practically roaring. If you don't want to go back, then I won't go back. Xianxia was someone who was susceptible to coaxing but not coercion. The more it was like this, the more Xianxia resisted. After hanging up her father's phone call, Xianxia's mood wasn't that good. If I compare Yi Hua with my father, I suddenly discovered that Yi Hua is much better than my father. At least Yi Hua wouldn't berate me because of other people. After adjusting her mentality, Xianxia walked towards her little sister's room. What do you want to eat? I'll treat you. KFC. KFC family bucket. Qin Yutong raised her hand and said while smiling. Xianxia shook her head. These two are just children. In any case, I am a person who has a net worth of 100 billion, and yet, the two of you only eat KFC. Seeing that big sister finished picking, Qin Yutong blinked her beautiful eyes. Brother-in-law, big sister, how about we go for a round? I have the same intention. Yi Hua said faintly. You think I'm afraid of you? 3 consecutive players immediately went online, and of course they would be playing in a party. On the way, the cold and aloof Yi Hua and Xianxia had always been silent, and only Qin Yutong would be chattering and flirting with other people. And this time was no exception. They met a passerby. This round was a mirage, and the 3 people appeared very quickly. Qin Yutong was already impatient to tease people. Little brother? Big sister? Qin Yutong shouted out sweetly. If the other party was a big brother, he would definitely become a level 4 backpack for me. Even my brother-in-law has a big sister to become a level 4 backpack, so I naturally want to have someone to run errands for me. After waiting for more than 10 seconds, the other party did not reply, and Qin Yutong thought to herself that something is wrong. Could it be that the other party is a female? Big brother, do you have a microphone? Qin Yutong asked. Finally, the passerby replied, just that. This sentence made Qin Yutong's face turn black. Aunt, hello? Yi Hua and Xianxia were both wearing earphones and they were able to hear each other's voice. Yi Hua let out a sigh. This is really like that saying, you will never know who your teammates are. Bringing along 2 level 4 bags is already very disadvantageous for me, and now, I still have to bring along a burden. Qin Yutong took a deep breath. This little fellow actually called me aunt. Auntie. Oh my god, I'm still a virgin. Little friend, not auntie, it's big sister. Qin Yutong's smile was very forced. A trace of an arc appeared on the corner of Yi Hua and Xianxia's mouth. We finally got to see Qin Yutong being teased instead. Mother said that only children who are about the same age as Ali are called big brother and big sister. Auntie, your voice is so nice, it's about the same age as mother, so you must be much older than Ali. In an instant, a few black lines appeared on Qing Yutong's brows, especially when she heard the phrase, a lot bigger. She made herself look like an old witch. But this little guy is not bad. He knows how to flatter me and say that my voice is nice. Little fellow, how old are you to actually play games? Have you done your homework or not? Seeing that Qing Yutong was unable to be stubborn anymore, Qing Yutong began to use her age to bully Qing Yutong. Ali has finished the homework assigned by mother. Auntie, don't you need to go to work? I heard that adults who don't go to work are no different from salted fish. The immature voice of a little girl rang out from the earpiece. Qing Yutong had met an opponent with high strength. Yi Hua and Xianxia took a look at each other. We are both jobless people. Qing Yutong coughed lightly to express her awkwardness. In actuality, her entire person was in a bad mood. Little fellow, Auntie has a special occupation. You still haven't told Auntie how old you are. Ali will be 3 years old this year. The three immediately went into a daze. It is actually a little kid who is almost 3 years old. Qing Yutong felt very sullen being bullied by a little kid who is almost 3 years old. However, it is normal for a little kid who is almost 3 years old to call me Auntie. This is so painful being called Auntie by someone. Qing Yutong asked curiously, where's your mother? Mother went out. Why are you calling mother? Why aren't you calling mother? Ali doesn't know either. Then what about your father? Mother said that father died. The little fellow's tone immediately became downcast. Xianxia glared at her little sister. How can you go and bully a child? Ali, I'm sorry. Auntie, it's alright, Ali is already used to it. Although the little girl said it very casually, the three could tell that her tone was very downcast, and Xianxia subconsciously rubbed onto her stomach. Qing Yutong patted onto her chest. Ali, don't worry, Auntie will bring you to eat chicken. Is Auntie very powerful? Of course, Auntie is a beautiful girl warrior. I can take down everything in a matter of minutes. That's great. Are the other two Auntie's friends as well? Ali asked with her childish voice. Qing Yutong giggled. That's right, they are all cold type, they don't talk at all. Uncle and Auntie are all cold type, my mother is also a bit like that, everyone is afraid of her. Ali said in a low voice, seemingly as if she was afraid of being heard by others. Xianxia let out a sigh. Thanks to my little sister, I have also become an Auntie. Very quickly the four entered the plane and the four prepared to jump. Qing Yutong gave the order, we are going to jump to a place with fewer people and develop wretchedly. Auntie, why are we going to jump to a place with fewer people? Ali often jumps to a boxing gym. Yi Hua, Xianxia, Qing Yutong, to actually ask why are we going to jump to a place with fewer people, is there even a need to ask? Of course it's because we are noobs and we are prepared to stay low all the way. However, as an elder, how can I be looked down upon by a child? Qing Yutong said gravely, isn't Auntie afraid that Ali will get hurt? That's why we are going to jump to a place with fewer people. Auntie, don't worry, Ali often wins chicken dinner. Yi Hua, Xianxia, Qing Yutong was very hurt. She sneaked a glance at her brother-in-law and big sister, and their expressions were the same as well. So miserable. Yi Hua decided to bring them to win chicken dinner this round, only then would he be able to display the strength of a supreme overlord. If I don't win chicken dinner this round, I will quit smoking for an hour. The four of them all jumped to the boxing gym, and there were quite a lot of people that jumped to the boxing gym. There were even 2 teams of people that jumped to the boxing gym. Yi Hua definitely has to display his true strength and let them know what an expert is. However, here came the problem, the entire boxing gym actually didn't have any loot. Not even a frying pan could be found. In actuality, it wasn't that Yi Hua hadn't seen this kind of situation before, he would occasionally bump into it a few times, but he didn't pay too much attention to it. However, today's situation was different. How could he not have any guns? At the same time, in the red building below the boxing gym, one of the rooms was filled with equipment, M498K level 3 helmet, level 3 armor, all kinds of bullets and medicine. F***K. What kind of luck does this streamer have to actually bump into such a thing the moment he opened the door? Brother, I'm afraid that this is your first time coming to see this streamer. Let me tell you, this streamer really didn't cheat. In any case, I'm already in awe of the streamer's luck. If the airdrop didn't hit his face, then he would have really cheated. Chapter 110. Yi Hua, who was in the boxing dojo, was very annoyed. The 2 salted fishes were actually chasing after him and beating him up. This is also a game. If it was in reality, I would turn the two of you into a pool of blood. Brother-in-law, I'm here to save you. Qing Yutong suddenly jumped out from an unknown place and punched towards Qing Yutong. Yihua saw that half of his health bar was gone. This must be a spy sent by the enemy, right? Qing Yutong's head shrunk back. Brother-in-law, this is purely an accident. Who asked you to suddenly stop just now? Yihua was really speechless. This was already not the first time. There was another time when someone took out a 98K and aimed it at his head. Afterward, his helmet was destroyed and the excuse was that his hand shook a little. Brother-in-law, be careful. Just when Yihua was absent-minded, a player jumped up high into the air and punched towards Yihua's head. Bang! It was the sound of a revolver. The person who jumped up was instantly shot in the head. His companion saw that someone else had a gun and immediately ran away. Bang! Another headshot. Yihua and the other two were stupefied. Ali ran over and asked in a childish voice, "Uncle, are you okay? I have some bandages here." Yihua felt hurt, really hurt. I have never felt so sullen before. I was actually saved by a little girl and she even gave me a bandage. My God. The host in the red building had just finished cleaning up and was about to go to the boxing gym when he heard the sound of a revolver. The host's expression changed drastically. Host, run. The revolver monster has appeared again. Host, where there's life, there's hope. Run. Why did you guys tell the host to run? You guys don't know, but the host has been tortured by this revolver monster a few times in the past few days. After that, whenever she hears the sound of a revolver, she will take a detour. The host's equipment can't even beat a pistol. Sai, it's not that the host is bad but that the opponent is too strong. Sure enough, the host chose to drive away. He had tried countless times in the past, but he had always died under the revolver's marksmanship. The opponent was too brutal. With a pistol, little Ali was simply like a god-slaying god. In just a short while, the entire boxing gym was cleared out. Yihua, who was holding onto his wife and sister-in-law, looked at the boxing gym blankly, and a feeling of powerlessness emerged from the bottom of his heart. Next, it was little Ali's turn to perform. Uncle Andy, please stay in the car. Let Ali charge first. Dong dong dong. Gunshots and grenades rang out from the house in front. Uncle Andy, you can come in and loot now. Yihua was very hurt. Qingya and Qing Yutong liked Yihua very much. This child is too interesting. Ali, why don't you let Aunt charge together with you? It's so dangerous for you to go alone. Qingya also started talking to Ali. Ali was very cheerful and her sweet voice was very lovable. Ali said in a childish voice, if Uncle and Auntie come, Ali will be distracted. Yihua, Qingya, Qing Yutong, from the looks of it, Ali had treated the three of them as burdens. Yihua was too hurt, and he didn't even want to continue playing anymore. To actually be treated as a burden by a little girl. Ali could be seen driving the pickup truck and the pickup truck was completely silent. Uncle Andy, why aren't you talking? Was it because their equipment was too bad? Ali will snatch the airdrop for you. Looking at Yihua's expression, Qingya laughed out. Qing Yutong also looked over, and upon discovering that her brother-in-law's face was as black as coal, Qing Yutong immediately laughed out. Little Ali was confused. Auntie, what are you all laughing at? Qingya said tenderly, we are laughing at Uncle. He is too jealous of Ali. Ali seemed to have suddenly come to a realization. Uncle, I'm sorry. Ali stole your limelight and made you lose face in front of Auntie. The faces of the three immediately froze. Qingya and Qing Yutong immediately laughed to the point where they were gasping for breath. Little Ali is too cute, she actually said it out loud. Yihua endured the pain in his chest and said while gnashing his teeth, Ali, you played well. It's alright, Ali only played for a few days. Yihua almost vomited blood. Ali is the strongest opponent that I have ever met. Before even exchanging blows, I was already angered to the point that I almost vomited blood. Every single sentence that Ali said was filled with killing intent. With little Ali, Yihua entered the finals without any difficulty. Furthermore, there were only 5 players left. 4 versus 1. It's over, the anchor is going to die. A song of death for the anchor. You guys don't need to say any more, the anchor is very formidable. She fought her way to the finals with 4 players. What's the use of not getting chicken? The commenter above is correct. Yihua didn't even know what he was doing in this round. I clearly wanted to show off my strength, but in the end I didn't even do anything and reached the finals. Furthermore, I was even brought into the finals by a little child. If this were to be spread out, where would I put my face? This game is poisonous. Uncle, Auntie, Ali, take care of him. This way it will be fair. After finished speaking, little Ali rushed out. In less than 10 seconds, little Ali had already gotten rid of her opponent and got chicken. This was the first time in Yihua's life that he got chicken without doing anything. Xianxia and Qing Yutong were extremely excited. The anchor is so miserable, he got beaten up. That's right, he is too weak, I'm unsubscribing. The anchor's heart was also collapsing. It is my fault that my opponent is too savage. Don't leave. As long as I don't meet with a revolver monster, I will definitely get chicken. Xianxia and Qing Yutong excitedly hugged each other and celebrated. Meanwhile, Yihua's face was cold and unhappy. Little Ali, tell Auntie what is your name? Xianxia asked curiously. Qing Yutong directly gave up on her brother-in-law and went to hug onto little Ali's thigh. That's right, Ali will bring Aunt to eat chicken. But mother said that I can't tell strangers Ali's name. Little Ali said pitifully as if he was very afraid of his mother. Qing Yutong said tenderly, is Auntie a bad person? Of course I'm not a bad person. Then tell Auntie your name, little Ali. After a moment of silence, Ali's cute voice rang out, Uncle Auntie, my name is Donghuang Li. Just as Ali reported his name, a woman's voice came from the headset. Ali, why are you playing games again? Have you finished your homework? When Yihua heard this voice, his brows slightly wrinkled. Little Ali went offline. Xianxia and Qing Yutong were depressed, and they were really worried for little Ali. Her mother seemed to be very strict, and it could be seen from her tone just now. The takeout hasn't arrived yet? What's their phone number? I want to go and file a complaint. Yihua had a stomach full of anger but had no place to vent it. I actually got a chicken without doing anything. Seeing Yihua's angry look, Xianxia and Qing Yutong couldn't help but laugh. Xianxia consoled, Yihua, she is just a child, look at you, I'm sorry. I can't help but want to laugh again. Big sister, I beg of you, don't laugh anymore, my abs are about to come out. The two sisters took a look at each other, then once again burst out with laughter. Chapter 111. However, that little girl just now was indeed formidable, this point has to be confirmed. It's just that, these two silly women, are they that funny? I just don't want to cheat. Aya, when is my little nephew coming out? When the time comes he will bring mom and aunt to eat chicken. Qing Yutong rubbed onto her big sister's stomach and giggled. Xianxia revealed out a beautiful smile. It would be great if the little fellow was as obedient as that little girl just now. He wouldn't be like his father. What are you talking about? He should be like me. Yihua said gravely. Xianxia snorted, seeing how pitiful you are, I won't bicker with you. At this time the takeaway arrived. After eating a spicy chicken burger, Yihua walked down the stairs. The two sisters smiled but didn't say anything. After all, being dealt a blow by a little girl who wasn't even 3 years old was indeed quite hurtful. Walking down to the bar counter, Yihua mixed the wine that he liked, then lit up a cigarette. After taking a puff, he took a sip of the wine. This is life, the vexing matter is gone in an instant. After taking the wine and the cigarette, Yihua sat in the booth and slowly sunk into deep thoughts. Being invincible really feels so empty. Even if I win, I won't be able to make my heart feel happy. In the past, I still had opponents who were on par with me, and some of them were even stronger than me. The excitement in battle was so refreshing, but now, I really miss my previous opponents and also those overlords who formed a group to kill me. I wonder if they are living well now. If they are living too well, then I will find a time to make them not living so well. Since I was dealt a blow by that little girl, I can only vent my anger on you two. If you two want to blame someone, then blame little Ali. While thinking, Yihua fell asleep. Not knowing how long had passed, a voice rang out beside his ear. Your Honor? Your Honor? Yihua wrinkled his brows. Noticing that Wei Chang was standing beside him, he let out a breath of relief and sat up. Lighting up a cigarette, he looked at the time and said, Why are you here already at 5? Your Honor, subordinate just finished a meeting with Xiao Tang and I don't plan on going back. Wei Chang bowed and said respectfully at the side. Yihua stood up and picked up the cigarette box on the table. Did you push her down? A subordinate feels that this matter needs to be handled carefully. Yihua nodded his head and said faintly, Not bad, you know how to think. Thank you for your praise, Your Honor. Wei Chang said with a smile. To be able to receive his honor's praise is such an honorable thing. Xiao Tang is truly my lucky star. While smoking, Yihua prepared to go upstairs. However, just when he stepped onto the stairs, he seemed to have thought of something and shouted out, Wei Chang, come over, I have something to ask you. Wei Chang jogged over. Your Honor, do you have anything to tell me? Yihua leaned on the railing of the stairs, then asked with his brows wrinkled, Do you still remember that woman from 3 years ago? 3 years ago? Wei Chang muttered. Why did your honor suddenly ask about this matter? Wei Chang asked curiously. Yi Hua puffed out a mouthful of smoke. It's nothing, I just suddenly thought of it. His honor is reminiscing about the past. His humanity is getting better and better. Subordinate congratulates his honor. Pausing for a moment, Wei Chang continued, compared to your honor's first woman, Madam is much luckier. Yi Hua's interest was piqued. He straightforwardly sat at the side and listened to his subordinate's analysis. Tell me how lucky is Madam? This subordinate does not dare to casually evaluate Madam. Yi Hua glared at him and said coldly, I asked you to speak, so speak. You are already evaluating Madam. Wei Chang was frightened to the point that he directly kneeled down. It's all my fault, why did I say Madam? This subordinate deserves to die. If you still don't speak, I will let Lai Gu go and kill your Xiao Tang. Yi Hua said faintly. In actuality, he just wanted to see how Wei Chang would react. As expected, Wei Chang became anxious, but very quickly, he hid his emotions. This subordinate will speak right now. Yi Hua slowly closed his eyes and waited for Wei Chang to speak. Your honor's first woman, this subordinate still remembers it vividly. After all, she was the first human woman that your honor had ever touched. Her appearance was extremely beautiful, and only Madam's beauty could compete with her. However, for her to be able to receive your honor's favor, it is also her good fortune that she cultivated. Tell me the main point, how did Madam get lucky? Yi Hua said faintly. Wei Chang swallowed his saliva. Does your honor feel that there is any difference between 3 years ago and now? Yi Hua did not speak. 3 years ago your honor's personality was still very unstable and moody, but now your honor is able to control those emotions. Madam waited for your honor for 3 days, and your honor went downstairs to meet with her. From this, it can be seen that your honor has a compassionate heart. However, that woman was not as lucky as Madam. 2 months later, she came to Leisure Bar and waited for your honor for half a month, and your honor did not even come down to meet with her. Yi Hua slowly opened his eyes. She waited for me for half a month? You seem to have never told me about this before. Just like what subordinate said back then, your honor was very unstable, and before subordinate could even open my mouth, your honor told subordinate to scram. Yi Hua extinguished the cigarette. There is such a thing. Right now, Wei Chang had learned how to read someone's expression and figure out what someone was thinking, just like now. Does your honor want subordinate to go down and look for her? Wei Chang asked. Yi Hua slowly walked upstairs and said calmly, no need, that one person has already made me worried to death. Wei Chang laughed. Madam is, after all, a human, her words and actions are naturally different from your honor. Go and do your work. Yes. Regarding the first woman, Yi Hua suddenly thought of her today. Just like what Yi Hua had said, he would only touch the same woman once. This time, Xianxia was just an accident, because she was pregnant with Yi Hua's bloodline. If not, there wouldn't be such a thing. Yi Hua walked up to the second floor. He had already forgotten about the matter of the first woman. She was just a passerby in my life, so I should just slightly reminisce about her. Pushing open the door, Yi Hua could see Xianxia and Qin Yutong sitting in front of the computer with a serious expression. The atmosphere was extremely tense. I wonder if they will come and look for me if I turn off the power. Forget it, am I, the supreme overlord, such a senseless person? Only a foolish woman like Xianxia would do something like turning off the power. However, as my woman, she is actually not infatuated with me, and instead she likes to play games. In the beginning it was work, and now, in a blink of an eye, it became a game. Brother-in-law, look at me and big sister, both of us managed to get into the top 10, and we are going to get chicken dinner soon. Qin Yutong began to become excited. The two women could be seen lying on the haystack, and the main point was that the two of them still had nervous expressions on their faces. Yi Hua let out a sigh. It should be about time to finish this game, let's go out and eat. So, Yi Hua, can you not speak? Other people will hear what you say. Xianxia said in a low voice. What else could Yi Hua say? Yi Hua straightforwardly lied down on his sister-in-law's bed and rested. Today, after being dealt a blow by little Ali, I don't even want to play anymore. Chapter 112. Yutong, how about we play another round? Xianxia was unwilling to admit defeat. End the last round. Qin Yutong belonged to the type of person who would accompany him to the end, even if it was an all-nighter. It was the last round again. Yi Hua had already heard the last round countless of times. I really can't bear it anymore. Even if it is a childish thing, I still have to do it today. Ye Hua. Brother-in-law, how can you be like this? After unplugging the power, Yihua's face was filled with comfort. Even if you don't eat, my child still wants to eat. Isn't it just the last round? So stingy. Xianxia pouted her mouth and went back to her room to change her clothes. I can't possibly wear pajamas when I go out, right? Qin Yutong looked at her brother-in-law and said tenderly, Brother-in-law, why aren't you going out yet? Could it be that you want to see sister-in-law change her clothes? Yihua took a glance at Qin Yutong, and Qin Yutong immediately crossed her arms around her chest and said shyly, Brother-in-law, big sister is still at the side, don't look at me like that. He's not bad looking. Of course. It's just that he's a little silly. Brother-in-law, Yihua turned around and left. This sister-in-law's return has indeed added a bit of joy to me. Qin Yutong, who was in the room, stomped her feet and mumbled, How am I stupid? Master, you are indeed a little silly sometimes. You're the stupid one. You're the most stupid person in the system. Master should understand the meaning of the saying, he who keeps company with ink will be stained black. All right. All of you have come to bully me. I will remember this debt. Master, you'd better write it down in your little notebook. I'm afraid you'll forget the oath you made. Qin Yutong clicked her tongue. Don't mention my dark history. After Xianxia finished changing her clothes, she said to Yihua, You go and change your clothes as well. It's summertime and you are still wearing a suit. Where is the short-sleeved shirt that you wore yesterday? It's too childish. Don't be long-winded, go in and change. Right now, Xianxia didn't want Yihua to be too stylish, lest some wild bees fly over to him. Xianxia walked downstairs and discovered that Leisure Bar was about to open for business, and everyone was starting to get busy. Madam. Wei Chang walked over and greeted respectfully. Xianxia smiled gently. Wei Chang, what's wrong? Wei Chang looked at Tang Wei, who was not far away. She was currently wiping the table and said in a low voice, Madam, Wei Chang has a request. If I can help you, I will definitely help you. Xianxia said with a smile. Wei Chang respectfully said, Actually, it's not a big deal. Madam should know that this subordinate is dating little Tang. Xianxia went into a slight daze for a moment. This Wei Chang claims to be my subordinate, so strange. However, after thinking about Yihua's identity, Xianxia felt relieved. This Wei Chang might be Yihua's underling, which means that Wei Chang is my underling. When my husband's underling is in trouble, of course I have to help him. I know. Didn't you say it last time? Is it that Yihua is too stingy? I will go and talk to him. Upon thinking that Yihua was still using Wei Chang's salary in the past, Xianxia felt helpless. Wei Chang was greatly startled. I didn't say that his honor is stingy. Madam, you have misunderstood. Subordinate is not talking about this matter. Then what is it? I feel that my relationship with Lil Tang can be improved, but I don't know where to start. Wei Chang was very embarrassed. He felt that he would lose face if he asked someone else, but asking his honor was equivalent to not asking at all. Thus he could only ask the madam. Actually, Wei Chang asking Xianxia was equivalent to asking in vain. After all, Xianxia was also a newbie. This was the first time that Xianxia had encountered this kind of problem, and she still didn't really understand what Wei Chang meant. Improved? To what stage? Xianxia asked. Wei Chang let out a breath, then said in a low voice, It is to reproduce offspring. Reproduce offspring, this really made Xianxia speechless. Isn't this phrase a little too appropriate? Xianxia paused for a moment. This problem is a bit thorny. Thinking back to my own experience, I don't seem to have any process. Yihua just pushed me, then when the conditions were right, success would follow naturally. If that's the case, then I can conclude the strategy of a man. Xianxia said with an appearance of someone who had been through the same thing. Wei Chang, a man has to take the initiative, he just has to push her down directly. Wei Chang, who had a face full of anticipation, immediately froze. His honor is like this, even madam gave the same answer. They really don't have any mood at all, just watch an idle drama, that romantic atmosphere. Seems like both his honor and madam don't have any mood at all and went straight to the point. I, Wei Chang, am a man with mood, how can I be so casual about it? Seems like I can only rely on myself for this matter. Thank you, madam, for your pointers. Xianxia took a glance at the diligent Tang Wei and said, Lil Tang is a pretty good girl, don't let her down. This subordinate will follow madam's instructions. Xianxia really wasn't used to this kind of thing. Does everyone in the cultivation world speak like this? Goosebumps appeared all over his body. Sis, what are you guys talking about? Qin Yutong bounced down the stairs, and when Xianxia saw her little sister's face, she immediately blushed with shame. Wei Chang bowed as a form of greeting before retreating. Xianxia's eyebrows wrinkled. Why did you change into my appearance again? Big sister, you are beautiful, Qin Yutong held onto Qinya's willowy arm and said with a smile. What Xinya said was right, Xinya merely snorted. Not long after, Yihua walked down the stairs. This was the first time that Qin Yutong saw her brother-in-law wearing a short-sleeved shirt, and she teased, "Brother-in-law, you are so childish." Yihua took a glare at Xinya, and the image of his main body was completely gone. With a smile on her face, Xinya walked forward and held onto her husband's arm. "All right, let's go and cook hot pot." Qin Yutong immediately held onto her brother-in-law's other side. "All right, let's go and prepare hot pot." "Qin Yutong. What are you doing?" "What do you mean what? This is the etiquette of holding hands, do you know?" "Big sister, you are out." Yihua would naturally seize the opportunity to take revenge. "You are indeed out. Just you wait." The three walked out of leisure bar while bickering. Wei Chang looked at his honor and thought to himself, his honor's change is really big. This is all thanks to the madam. At this moment, Tang Wei walked over slowly and called out tenderly, "Uncle Wei, Xiao Tang, what's wrong?" "Uncle Wei, the light at my side is broken." "The light is broken, huh? It's fine. Uncle Wei will go and fix it for you after work." All right." Not far away from the alley, there was a hot pot restaurant called King Song's Mansion's Hot Pot Restaurant. The name King Song's Mansion wasn't just for show. In the past, only the nobles could afford to eat at the hot pot, and right now, everyone could feel how fast the nobles' mouths were. Luckily, Yihua and the others left the house early. If not, they would have to line up at the restaurant. Even so, there were no more private rooms left, and they could only eat at the main hall. If it was according to Yihua's conduct in the past, he definitely wouldn't eat at the main hall, because it would lower his status. However, it was different now. After all, he had done things that were lower than his status before. For example, at the beginning when he bought a Chinese jianbing for the sake of adding an extra egg, he even argued with the aunt for a long time. "Add an extra egg for me. 1 egg is 2 RMB. You still want money. It is your honor to be able to eat at your restaurant. Young fellow, it is your honor to be able to eat my Chinese jianbing." Yihua expressed that he was unconvinced. After arguing for half an hour, the aunt finally said, "Don't think that just because you are handsome, you can do whatever you want. Aunt is also beautiful before, I don't fall for this." Chapter 113. As soon as the three of them sat down, they immediately became the center of attention. A man with a pair of beautiful twins was simply inhumane. They were so beautiful that there was no bottom line. Qin Yutong picked up the menu and muttered, "The shop owner of this shop is selling top-grade beef rolls, shrimp sliders and tripe. Just listening to it is enough to make one drool. Just order whatever you want, big sister will treat you." Xinya was very generous. In any case, she could be considered as someone who was poor to the point that she only had money left. Qin Yutong rolled her eyes at her big sister. "Even if I were to eat here for my entire life, I still wouldn't be able to finish spending your money. Yutong, you've already taken your photo. If you still plan to stay at your brother-in-law's place, you'll have to pay for your living expenses." "Big sister, why are you the same as brother-in-law? Both of you are so stingy." Qin Yutong pouted her small mouth and said, "Even though you have so much money, you still want to collect living expenses." Yihua was unjustly implicated. "When have I been petty? You still say you're not stingy? Brother-in-law, why don't you take out the meat from that day and eat it? You can only eat it once a week." Yihua said faintly. "I don't want to eat it once a week. I want to eat it every day." When the customers that were sitting around heard Qin Yutong's complaint, they almost wanted to flip the table. "I can't endure it." Her sister-in-law wanted meat, but her brother-in-law said that he would only allow it once a week. Her sister-in-law was not happy and wanted it every day. The main point was that the older sister was smiling without saying a word. How could she mess around like this? *CK, where are my Italian cannons? Bombard this affectionate couple. Yihua said faintly, not giving. As expected, the sound of chopsticks breaking resounded around them. His sister-in-law was not satisfied, but as her brother-in-law, he refused to give it to her. "Let go of sister-in-law and let me do it." Although she was angry, especially when she saw the indifferent look on that man's face, she felt that he was simply inhumane. How could a person resist the temptation of such a beautiful sister-in-law? In actuality, Yihua felt that after being hugged by a woman like Xinya to sleep every day, he would naturally become immune to it. Some people did not win at the starting line, but directly appeared at the finishing line. Right when the three of them were waiting for the dishes to be served, a boy suddenly ran in and found a table that was not far away from Yihua, and that table just happened to be occupied by a man and a woman. Qin Yutong said sneakily, I think this boy is definitely here to catch adultery. How did you know? Yihua asked faintly. Qing Yutong pointed outside. Just now, I saw him riding a bicycle over. Just when Qing Yutong finished speaking, the voice of a boy could be heard from the other side. Why did you do this to me? I used a bicycle to pick you up for 3 years. This man will pick you up in a Bentley for 3 days. You want to break up with me? Are you worthy of me? The girl said apologetically, I'm sorry actually when he came to pick me up on the first day I was already. The man clutched his chest and retreated weakly. He didn't expect that he had overestimated himself. It turned out that he didn't need 3 days. 1 day was enough. After witnessing everything, Yihua said faintly, Snow White told us one thing, 7 shits are not comparable to a kiss from a tall, rich and handsome man. Qingya rolled her eyes at Yihua. Humph, what should I say then? It can only mean that you have good eyesight. Yihua said with a faint smile. Narcissistic. Brother-in-law, you have also watched Snow White before? Upon hearing about cartoons, Qing Yutong became interested. Yihua said faintly, I have, it was too realistic so I didn't watch it a second time. Bang. Just as Yihua was about to discuss about Snow White's plot with Qing Yutong, that boy was knocked onto the ground by a punch from the tall, rich and handsome man, and that girl just couldn't bear to watch on and looked outside the window. Yihua, that boy is so pitiful. Yihua took a look. Weaklings are not worthy of sympathy. If the boy who fell onto the ground fought back, Yihua would still feel that this boy was not bad, but he didn't, he just covered his face and used his gaze to kill the boy without moving. Qingya, put away your sympathy. Yihua began his lesson. Qingya snorted, why don't you have any sympathy at all? Did you stew that dog of yours? I wanted to stew it a long time ago. Yihua said faintly. It's just that when a bone dragon is stewed, it really doesn't taste good. Suddenly, Qing Yutong slammed onto the table, startling Yihua and Qingya. Qing Yutong could be seen standing up with a righteous look, pointing at the rich second generation and shouted, how can you hit someone? Even if he is uglier than you. But hitting someone is also wrong. The corner of Yihua's mouth twitched and Qingya directly covered her face. Are you going to help someone or are you going to hit someone when they are down? Master is being an idiot again? Yutong, what are you doing? Sit down. Qingya persuaded, fearing that her little sister would cause trouble. Qing Yutong snorted, big sister, you don't have to persuade me, helping the weak is everyone's responsibility. The boy who fell onto the ground originally didn't feel that it was shameful, but after being scolded by Qing Yutong, he immediately felt his face getting hot, wishing that he could find a hole to hide in. Yihua said, alright, if Yutong wants to act cool, then just let her go. It's fine if you don't care about it, but you even allowed her to act recklessly. You can go too. Last time when we were buying a house, weren't you very good at acting cool? Yihua laughed lightly, but this angered Qingya quite a bit. The child in my stomach will definitely be born with fire attribute. Yihua, do you want to quarrel with me here? Do you still remember what you called me that night? Qingya immediately admitted defeat and scolded Yihua for being shameless, for always using this joke. Qing Yutong walked forward and helped up the boy whose face was completely red, and when the boy saw that it was actually such a beautiful woman who stood up for him, he felt like he was about to become drunk. Just that, the next sentence that Qing Yutong said almost made the boy vomit blood. Little brother, don't be afraid with your short arms and legs, you are definitely not his opponent, let me do it. Don't speak, I know what you are feeling right now. Although you are poor and short, if not, your girlfriend wouldn't have abandoned you. This time, I will stand up for you, in the future you just have to get used to it. Qing Yutong patted onto the boy's shoulder and said earnestly. The boy's heart was about to collapse. Big sister, can you please leave? I would rather be punched by you than to be talked about so miserably by you. Don't pull me, I want to leave. I want to go home. Yihua, quickly go and pull her back. Qingya couldn't bear to watch anymore. Can't you all see that boy's face changing between white and red? I'm really worried that he might suddenly die. Qingya suddenly remembered that Yihua had taught me a set of first aid techniques. Last time, that person vomited blood and was still able to be dealt with by me. Seems like if there really isn't any other choice, I can only go out myself. Yihua was also amused by his sister-in-law. It's pretty good, Yutong is very warm-hearted. How is she warm-hearted? She is more of a hindrance than a help. Qingya held onto her forehead, this is such a headache. The boy's ex-girlfriend couldn't bear to watch anymore. This beautiful lady, don't make things difficult for him anymore. In actuality, he isn't very short. Chapter 114. Not only the girl, everyone who heard it was stupefied as well. So it wasn't a problem of money but rather it was really short. The boy couldn't take it anymore and shed tears of regret. This is even more painful than breaking up. I thought that she is vain but it turns out that she doesn't, she just dislikes me, and even said it out. Qin Yutong seemed to know something and was a bit embarrassed as she said while stammering, about that, you don't have to be too discouraged, think about those men who suffered from erectile dysfunction, do you feel better after thinking about it? Immediately, the faces of a few middle-aged men in the hall stiffened. The boy seemed as if he was struck by lightning. His girlfriend ran away with a rich second generation and furthermore it wasn't for money. This is a shame for a man, and he was even exposed by a kind-hearted beauty. I originally thought that I was desperate enough, but I didn't expect that I underestimated despair. The boy covered his face and ran away desperately. This time he was even more injured than when he just came in. Sorry for disturbing you. Qin Yutong turned around and left. Originally I still wanted to stand up for the boy but in the end the boy had a hardware problem, this is too miserable. The tall, rich and handsome smiled and did not plan to pursue the matter, appearing like a gentleman. Returning back to her seat, Qin Yutong's pretty face was slightly red. She was extremely beautiful, but this kind of beauty carried a bit of foolishness. Xianxia was different, her beauty was noble. Now you know how to be embarrassed, you also have to worry about other people's family matters. Xianxia reprimanded. Qin Yutong pouted her cherry lips, I am just helping out when I see injustice. You are just stabbing at the back when you see injustice. Yi Hua added a sentence. What Yi Hua said is right, can you change your foolish temperament? Xianxia poked her little sister's forehead unhappily, and the latter touched her forehead pitifully. In any case the two of you are just joining hands to bully me, this single dog. Qin Yutong could only vent her anger on the food, as if she had not eaten for a few days, causing the surrounding people to be stupefied. A beauty is a beauty, even if it is this kind of crazy eating, there is still another kind of beauty, bold and unrestrained. Xianxia was different, she was noble and elegant, and she even had to help Yi Hua to wash the hot pot, as if this had already become a habit, and Yi Hua only had to pick up the food that Xianxia passed to him. Not bad, Xianxia still did not deviate from her own wishes. While the three of them were eating hot pot, the surrounding customers left one batch after another, and then another batch came. Just that, this batch of customers made Yi Hua and Qin Yutong feel a bit curious. Why did so many cultivators suddenly appear? Or could it be said that they are espers, or could it be said that they are ancient martial artists? Who knows, in any case in Yi Hua's eyes, they are nothing more than humans. They were just humans of a slightly higher level. Sitting next to him were four middle-aged men who were chatting animatedly. I heard that many sect disciples from the south have come to Long An City. It's not just the sect disciples. The ancient martial families, the special ability world, and the cultivation world will all be here in the next 2 days. I wonder if the North will intervene this time. If they do, it will be another bloody battle. How dare the Northerners? The last time an ancient godly item appeared, we didn't even intervene. How would small characters like us know about the inside story? Perhaps you wouldn't even know if we interfered. Ancient godly item, just the name alone makes me excited. I wonder if it will be a weapon, an equipment, or a magic tool. Do you guys know? I heard that Xiao Yi had a narrow victory last night, and it was even under the situation where he took out Xuanhuan's sword. The scene of the battle was just like doomsday. I wonder who Xiao family's family had provoked to actually be so tyrannical. Fortunately Xiao Yi wasn't killed, if not, the North would be in chaos. I also heard that Nangong Sini announced that she would stay at home to recuperate, and the few companies under the Dragon God Corporation were even transferred. This was told to me by one of my higher-ups. There is definitely some kind of shocking secret within. Sigh, the world of the rich is still not like that. Xiao family's family head is having fun every day. Do you think that just because you have money you will be as happy as you imagined? No, you are wrong, the happiness of the rich is something that you simply cannot imagine. When Yi Hua, Xianxia and Qin Yutong heard what Xiao Yi said, they felt that it was very reasonable. You all simply cannot imagine the world of the rich is to order takeout every day and eat chicken when you wake up. However, this was the first time that Qin Yutong heard of this matter, and with a face filled with curiosity she asked, "Brother-in-law, did Xiao Yi really pay back the money? Ask your big sister." Big sister, what happened? I just went out and such a big thing happened? Qin Yutong asked anxiously. For a person like Xiao Yi to pay back the money, does he not want his face anymore? Xianxia said faintly, he paid back the money with 3 companies. Wow. Brother-in-law, you are awesome. Qing Yutong exclaimed in admiration. In the past, people like Xiao Yi would often act cool and bully people, and I didn't expect that he would fall into the hands of her brother-in-law. Yi Hua picked up the piece of beef that Qingya passed over. It's just a small matter. Brother-in-law, you are acting cool again. Tell me about the process. You didn't even ask me to go and check the accounts. You are not a good friend. Yi Hua said faintly. Small matters like checking accounts can be left to the servants. Qingya and Qing Yutong took a look at each other, acting cool again. Yi Hua, is the ancient godly item that they are talking about the treasure that they talked about last time? Big sister, what treasure are you talking about? Why are you all hiding it from me and not bringing me along to play? Qing Yutong pouted her small mouth just like a little child. In actuality, Yi Hua was also a bit curious about the ancient godly item. After all, Yi Hua had a hobby of collecting things, and inside the ring on his finger there were a lot of weapons and equipment, and they were all spoils of war that Yi Hua collected. However, if Yi Hua were to know about the might of xuanhuan sword, he would rather stay at home and watch the movie. Do you want to go and take a look? Yi Hua asked faintly. Yes. Yes. Yi Hua thought for a while. Let's treat it as a field trip then. Wow, such a big matter, brother-in-law, you actually treat it as a field trip. Your acting cool is not bad. Qing Yutong smiled cutely. Yi Hua couldn't help but stretch out his hand and knocked on Qing Yutong's head. Impudent. Brother-in-law, it hurts. Qing Yutong rubbed her head and said pitifully. Qingya smiled sweetly. Serves you right for daring to tease your brother-in-law when he is acting cool. Bang! Qing Yutong immediately laughed. Haha, you are still teasing me, brother-in-law, well done. Yi Hua. Just you wait. What are you waiting for? Quickly go and settle the bill, let's go home. The surrounding men looked at Yi Hua, then looked at the tigress in front of them. Other people's wives and sisters-in-law sure are good. I can casually beat them up, and after beating them up they can even act coquettishly. However, those are all other people's wives. After dinner, the three of them took a stroll on the street, and Qing Yutong even bought some small accessories and wore them happily. Chapter 115. Returning back to Leisure Bar, it was already around 10 p.m. However, right after walking into the bar, Yi Hua felt that the business today was pretty good. The bar was almost full, just that most of the people that were sitting in the bar were men, and there were very few women. You two go up first. Yi Hua said faintly. Brother-in-law, what are you doing? Bring me along to play. Qingya pulled onto her little sister and said disdainfully, what else can he do? He is just acting cool. Let's go and eat chicken. Let's see if little Ali is online or not. Little Ali is much more reliable than him. Hearing that his own woman was talking about little Ali again, Yi Hua's mood immediately became bad again. Being brought along to eat chicken by a child. That is because you all don't know, the moment I release my strength, even I will be afraid. And right now, I am only playing with the physique of an ordinary human. I feel disdain to go and cheat. Little Ali is definitely cheating. If it was my child, I would definitely smack his butt. You are still cheating when playing with humans, shame on you. Walking into the bar counter, under everyone's peculiar gaze, Yi Hua mixed a cup of pitch-black alcohol that looked like cola. Alright, in actuality it is just cola. The difference is that it has alcohol in it. Holding on to the special cola, Yi Hua sat on the empty seat at the side and sized up everyone. It was very obvious that these people were not ordinary people. Your Honor. Wei Chang walked over slowly. Call Lai Gu over, I have something to say. Yes. 5 seconds later, a handsome guy who was wearing a school uniform walked in from the door. His face was brimming with a strong sense of confidence, but after seeing Yi Hua, his confidence immediately turned into a smile. Your Honor, Lai Gu called out. Yi Hua sized up Lai Gu, then said with a frown, What have you been doing recently? Subordinate is following Your Honor's orders to experience human nature, and reading is also a very good way to experience human nature. Lai Gu said in a small voice. His confidence was a little lacking. Wei Chang added, Lai Gu only went to school to expand his harem. Gluttonous monster, that's where you're wrong. I'm in a serious relationship, okay? Wei Chang laughed lightly. Just a few days after entering school, you started fighting and snatching women as your father. I am having a headache. What do you mean? Yi Hua asked curiously. Wei Chang said, Your Honor, Lai Gu started fighting right after entering school. Doesn't that mean that we need to call his parents? Subordinate and Xiao Tang just so happened to be on a date, so Subordinate went to pretend to be Lai Gu's parents. Haha. Yi Hua laughed out loud. Lai Gu said angrily, I swear I will quit school tomorrow, it's boring. Yi Hua coughed lightly, it's up to you. However, what I want to say is that after a few days, everyone should go out and have a walk together. It has already been 5 years and we have yet to go out together. Thinking back to the past, Wei Chang and Lai Gu's expression changed. They knew that his honor was thinking about the time in the past. Back then, the 8 of them had traveled all over the world, and the notoriety that they made shook the entire world. Back then, his honor had been holed up in this small leisure bar for 5 years, and back then he didn't even leave the leisure bar at all. After Madam came, his honor had left the leisure bar a lot more times, and right now he even had the thought of going out together with us. Your honor? Your honor? In actuality, both Wei Chang and Lai Gu understood that his honor definitely missed the other 5 sins a lot. In actuality, it wasn't that his honor didn't want to look for the other 5 sins, rather, he was afraid that his honor would be disappointed if he found them. Yihua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up. Recently there are a lot of people in Long'an City, and all of them are here for the sake of buying ancient godly items. On one hand, this trip is to relax, and on the other hand, this trip is also to take a look at what kind of thing an ancient godly item is. A hint of coldness appeared on Lai Gu's face. Your honor, this time since they have gathered together, how about we take them all out at once? Wei Chang stretched out his hand and knocked on Lai Gu's head. Do you think that his honor is still the same as before? Subordinate knows his mistake. Yihua picked up the wine cup and took a sip, then said faintly, rather than us taking them all out at once, we might as well let them kill each other. Your honor is wise. Your honor is wise. Wei Chang and Lai Gu thought of a problem at the same time. If his honor had this kind of brain back then, how could he have possibly been exterminated? He would have long toyed with the humans in the palm of his hand. Bang! The sound of a wine bottle shattering suddenly rang out, and a burly man could be seen standing up and shouting out, "Fuck, what kind of bullshit music is this? Give me an explosive one." Yihua silently looked towards that table, then stood up and said faintly, "The 2 of you settle this, all of you are here to test the waters, don't be too ruthless. If you are too ruthless, you won't be able to play anymore in the future." Yes. Yes. Yihua unhurriedly walked towards the table. Just when he walked in he felt that something was amiss. Thinking back to what happened last night, I reckon that these people were sent by some humans to test the waters. Since that's the case, let's have some fun then. Rather than killing people, I might as well look at the other party's astonished gaze or look of disbelief. This was a kind of sublimation. Yihua's hands were already stained with the blood of countless humans, and killing people was no longer able to bring joy to his heart. Toying with the other party, then admiring the other party's astonished expression, that kind of feeling was able to cause a slight ripple to surface in Yihua's heart. No matter if it was Xiao Yi or Long Outyin, Yihua was waiting for them to grow. When they felt that they had the strength, only then would they realize that despair had just begun. Wei Chang and Lai Gu looked at his honor's imposing back view and couldn't help but feel worship. His honor is becoming more and more like a human. I believe that not long from now, his honor will gather the 7 deadly sins and kill his way back. Toying with those conceited overlords in the palm of his hand, this feeling is much more satisfying than killing them. Gluttonous monster, how about we compete? Wei Chang laughed. What do you want to compete? Don't humans like to act cool? Let us compete and see who is better at acting cool. Lai Gu grinned, revealing his spotlessly white teeth. Sure, but do not disrupt his honor's plan. If everyone is afraid of us, his honor is going to stew you. Lai Gu scratched the back of his head. His honor has said this sentence for a few hundred years, there is only thunder and no rain. Then, how about I help you pass on the message? I was just joking, look at you, you actually took it seriously, TSK tisk TSK. Leisure bar was a bit chaotic right now and some of the security guards went over to stop them. However, how could they be a match for the security guards? In an instant they were all knocked onto the ground. Those who are not important, scram out of here, if not, bear the consequences yourself. The burly man shouted out arrogantly. This shout of his was indeed effective. All of the ordinary people ran out of the bar, but there were still half of the people who didn't leave. The burly man didn't go and shout out, seems like he still had some idea of what was going on. But how can you be like this? This is leisure bar, right? If you want to go to the disco, go to another bar. Tang Wei could be seen suddenly rushing out, standing in front of the burly man and questioning him. The burly man was 2 meters tall, while Tang Wei was only 1.65 meters tall. The sharp contrast made others feel that Tang Wei was just like a little doll. Gluttonous monster, this girlfriend of yours has quite a personality. Lai Gu rubbed onto Wei Chang's shoulder and said with a smile. Wei Chang looked at his girlfriend and said with a smile, "And Xiao Tang indeed has quite a personality. Although she looks soft and weak on the surface, she has courage on the inside. That girlfriend of yours is about to be bullied. Why aren't you, as her boyfriend, doing anything? Lai Gu asked curiously. Wei Chang looked at the beautiful figure on the stage, and black light flickered within his eyes. Right now, Xiao Tang is no longer considered as a human. K gluttonous monster, you are so perverted. Aren't those 3 celebrities of yours the same? They were nourished by your dragon aura? Wei Chang teased. Lai Gu spread out his hands. What can I do? These are all side effects. I will just treat it as nurturing 3 subordinates who can fight and warm the bed. After all, His Honor is currently on vacation. That's true. When His Honor finishes his vacation, the bloody moment will arrive. Chapter 116. The burly man looked at Tang Wei, who was in front of him, and revealed an evil smile. He stretched out his dirty hand, wanting to touch Tang Wei's face. That tender and pure white skin would definitely be very pleasurable to touch. The burly man's 3 friends revealed a playful smile. Taking liberties with beauties was something that they often did, especially this pure beauty. Just now, there were even 2 super beauties that went up. Perhaps they could take liberties with her. However, this time they took liberties with the wrong person. If it was the previous Tang Wei, she would definitely be taken liberties with. However, the current Tang Wei was Wei Chang's girlfriend. Her status was rising up by sitting on a star-class aircraft carrier. Furthermore, her primordial spirit that was processed by Wei Chang was also injected into her body. Not mentioning anything else, Tang Wei's current strength was enough to exchange blows with Death Mage. Looking at those dirty big hands, Tang Wei used her hands to block them out of conditioned reflex, and it was even the kind where her eyes were closed. The entire place instantly became quiet. Even if a thin needle were to drop onto the ground, one would be able to hear it. Tang Wei closed her eyes. There was no disgusting touch coming from her face. She carefully opened her eyes and discovered that everyone was looking at her dumbfoundedly. Tang Wei immediately became muddle-headed. The burly man that was in front of her just now had already disappeared. Tang Wei was very puzzled. Could it be that he ran away? The burly man's other 3 friends came back to their senses, and one of them shouted out, "Brothers, attack!" Tang Wei's expression was panicked as she took a step back, but the 3 burly men were already closing in on her. Ah! Tang Wei let out an ear-piercing scream. All of the glass cups shattered. The expressions of the 3 burly men congealed. Blood appeared on their ears. They were obviously injured, but they still attacked towards the weak Tang Wei. After screaming, Tang Wei closed her eyes and started punching and kicking, just like how a girl would punch the air when she saw a ghost. The entire place became quiet again, and some people started discussing in low voices. If I didn't see wrongly, could it be that those 4 burly men just now were the Jiangnan 4 marshals? It seems to be true. I heard that their strength is not bad. How did they get sent flying by a girl? This shop sure is mysterious. Could it be that this girl is the black-robed man that fought with Xiaoyi last night? Big brother, don't say any more. I'm scared. Lai Gu sighed. Gluttonous monster, you should at least teach your girlfriend some moves. This is too embarrassing. I feel that Tang Wei's fist technique was executed beautifully. Wei Chang smiled faintly and slowly walked forward. Coming to Tang Wei's side, Wei Chang patted the startled Tang Wei. Unexpectedly, Tang Wei threw a punch with a backhand, and Wei Chang easily caught it. Little Tang, it's me. Uncle Wei. Tang Wei immediately pounced into Wei Chang's embrace. She was scared to death. The 4 handsome generals of Jiangnan expressed that they were the ones who were scared to death. You murderer. Wei Chang lightly caressed Tang Wei's back. All right, don't be afraid. Uncle Wei, was I very violent just now? The people around him sucked in a cold breath. Dare I ask, miss, if this isn't violence, then what is? He's been beaten into the wall by you and can't be pulled out. He's stuck. Wei Chang comforted him. It's not violent at all. Go and take the waiters away. Let's get off work early today. Oh, all right. Not long later, the security guards and waiters of the bar all left. Lai Gu leaned on the bar counter and looked at Wei Chang's performance. Wei Chang looked at the 20-odd people present and asked, "Are you all here to cause trouble?" Everyone remained silent. Just now, you easily caught that girl's fist. Right now, who would dare to say that we are here to cause trouble? Looking around, everyone was sitting perfectly straight. I reckon that when they were studying, they didn't even sit so straight, so serious, and so afraid. After all, these people were all small fries, and the reason why they were sent here was just to probe. However, none of them wanted to be stuck inside the wall. Lai Gu shook his head helplessly. What is there to play? A bunch of grown men are just like elementary school students. Lai Gu shouted coldly, who asked you all to come? Let them come and get the girl. If not, don't even think about seeing tomorrow's sun. What if it rains tomorrow? Wei Chang turned his head around and asked. Lai Gu went into a daze. This is truly a problem. What do you think we should do? How about we just say that we shouldn't expect to see tomorrow's sun and rain? Wei Chang suggested. Lai Gu slightly frowned. Then what if tomorrow is cloudy? Everyone, then don't wait until tomorrow, it's too troublesome. How about 1 hour later? Wei Chang said. That's not a bad idea. The 20+ people who were sitting were all stupefied. Big brother, what are you all doing? We agreed to wait until tomorrow. Why did you all change your mind? Who cares if tomorrow is rainy or cloudy? We are people from Cloud Sect. We are people from Traceless Pavilion. You dare to try and touch us? We are people from Loud Thunder Sect. If you are sensible, then let us go. We are people from Dry Zen Sect. We want to go home. We are people from South Alliance. We forgot to turn off the gas in our house. If there is a fire, can you take responsibility? The people from Cloud Sect were very good at stirring up the atmosphere, and in an instant the atmosphere became heated up. If you don't let us go home, we will die in front of you. Wei Chang took a deep breath. You over there, where is your house? I will call the fire department for you. There is no need to worry. If you all want to go home, you all need your parents to come and get you. If not, you all will die. Wei Chang continued. Lai Gu placed both of his hands into his pockets and walked to the middle of the room, then said, if you all don't recognize me as your boss, I will teach you all how to comb your hair in the middle. After finished speaking, Lai Gu even touched his hair. His hairstyle mustn't be messed up. The 20+ people below were about to collapse. Just what kind of weirdo is this? His words are clearly so childish, yet he is leaking out a terrifying aura, causing those childish words to be more effective than any kind of threat. Too terrifying. Lai Gu shouted coldly, what are you all still in a daze for? Wait for me to treat you all to spicy hot pot. Call the fire department. Everyone didn't dare to be rash. Call the fire department right now, you all will regret it. In actuality, these 5 big powers were very powerful existences in the south. There was no need to talk about Cloud Sect. They were located at the periphery of Long and City in the cultivation world. The members of South Alliance were all people with special abilities. They were a power that couldn't be underestimated. Traceless Pavilion was located at the southwest. The parasitic insects that they raised were also ever-changing. The people in the circle of parasitic insects didn't dare to interact with them too much, fearing that they might accidentally be poisoned by the parasitic insects. Loud Thunder Sect belonged to the ancient martial arts sect. Their moves were superb, and their sect master was someone who could fight against Xiao Yi one-on-one. The prerequisite was that Xiao Yi didn't use xuanhuan sword. Dry Zen Sect also belonged to the cultivation world. Their strength wasn't that great, but they were experts in using medicine. Of course, this was only the strength of sects and sects. There were still powerful families in the south whose strength was comparable to Xiao family, just like Wang de Bao, just that they didn't come today. As for why they didn't come, perhaps they received the news of Lai Gu's arrival, and these 5 idiots came here to test the waters, and became the cannon fodder of Lai Gu. The call went through, but I still have to wait. Lai Gu is very bored at this time. I can already enjoy the service of a big celebrity on the bed. Gluttonous monster, do you want to play landlord? We are missing one. Wei Chang said. Lai Gu looked towards the 20+ people below. Play landlord over, I will let you go if you win. The people below first went into a daze for a moment, then began to fight with each other, almost starting a fight. You're tuning in to this Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.